Ahoy, landlubbers, it's me, your Captain Vasco speaking. And man, I feel so bad. I wasn't doing great yesterday if you were here for that stream. But today I had just like a really triggering event on the one day that I leave my house pretty much per week. And yeah, I just set me off, man. I'm not doing good. Uh, having depression really sucks. Because, like, you can be having a perfectly normal day, and then the day is just bad. And what's worse is that subsequent days are also bad for basically no good reason. And that's just what it's like to live with that every day. I have had more bad days than good, not because my life is particularly harder than others for the most part. There are certain things that I have worse luck than other people about, and I will certainly complain about those. You know this if you watch any significant percentage of my existing streams. But it's dumb. Like, there's just no telling what's gonna make your whole life just miserable for an undetermined amount of time. And like, if you don't deal with that, like, I don't have any way to make you understand how frustrating that is. Yeah, I was definitely going to invite everyone to vent today because, like, I feel like I'm just gonna mutter miserably to myself while trying to solve nonogram puzzles. We're here for some murder by numbers, which is probably about as much as I can handle. So that probably works out well. I am really excited to be playing more Nirvana Initiative, but like, even if I wanted to push to play that today, I feel like I would just make all of that experience bad for everyone, including myself. So we're just gonna stick to the schedule and not try to get cute. There's nothing to recap because the 2 streams ago we solved the second case. There's 2 more to do. Before starting the third case, I wanted to do all of the optional memory puzzles for Scout from the main menu in Murder by Numbers, which we unlocked through the course of solving case 2. And we got, like, not quite through half of those. And part of that was because the last time I played this, I did very bad at solving puzzles. So let's, like, load up the game and skip through the intro sequence so that I don't have YouTube problems that aren't relevant, but I still don't want them. I just don't. I just don't want more problems. I'm not looking to borrow more problems. I definitely almost hit the wrong button that would have created an infinite feedback loop of inputs to OBS. Sometimes I do that while checking stuff. I've never done that on stream, I don't think. I mean, you're not exactly wrong, Neko. Nirvana Initiative... Let's get off the screen, because I know it's very loud. Scout's Memories, Case 2, B. This one, Puzzle Start. Okay. Normalize volume. Yeah, I mean, there's a good chance that Nirvana Initiative would make me feel better just because I have really been impressed with that game so far. Like, when Somnium Files, the first one, first came out, I was really excited about it because it was like the first major release from Uchikoshi, who made the Zero Escape games, since he completed that trilogy. And if you're new here, that trilogy didn't end super good in my opinion, and so I was like, well, maybe that was like a fluke. He's done games I really like. I'm interested to see what happens. And then, I don't know, for like a number of reasons, I was like really not into AI at first. Like, it's the sort of game that I'm still happy to stream because I think that torturing myself with a certain type of game makes for good content. There's also like a limit to that because I'm like not good at skill-based games for the most part. But like, you know, replaying that in preparation for the sequel that just released, I liked the game more playing through it the second time, which I attribute to 2 things. One, that I don't like the presentation of information in the first game, and so I think that colored my impression of the story itself, which in hindsight I think is a good story that is not told great. But like, the storytelling caused me a lot of frustration the first time around. And also I think I was like just dealing with more in my life at that time, and like I just couldn't handle the game like giving me a hard time, as dumb as that sounds. But so far I've really been pleased with the sequel for a lot of reasons, and one thing that I plan to talk about next week is that I think one of those things that I like is that the game, I actually like that the game has kept its weird, needlessly raunchy tone, but it reframes it in a way where, I don't actually remember if I talked about this on stream. One of my favorite TV shows of all time is Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is a sitcom about police officers in a police department in New York City. And one of the things that I really like about that show is something that I don't know if it has a conceptual name, but it's something I call like the flexible straight man, which is that basically everyone in the cast is normal and complete clown at alternating points. There's not just like one character who's the crazy person and one character who's the normal person, and everyone else is sort of somewhere on a spectrum, which is relatively common, at least in like American sitcom TV shows. But rather, all characters are afforded the opportunity in the correct circumstances to be normal or wacky. And so, like, rather than Date just always saying lewd stuff at completely inappropriate times without context, which I found grating for most of the first game, the fact that, like, characters will say lewd stuff in the sequel, but, like, everyone around them is like, what are you doing? Like, somehow frames it in a way that's, like, less upsetting, but still carries the same tone and gets across the same joke, but it lands instead of feeling uncomfortable. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Neko says she feels the same way, that the first time she wasn't actually enjoying the game that much. Many of the characters are kind of inherently unlikable, but, like, Date and Boss sort of grew on you. And yeah, Tama's like different in this. I still can't quite explain to you like what it is that makes Tama work. But Tama definitely works, even though Tama's personality is like fairly similar to Date's. Actually, those can just be normal. Let's actually do this puzzle. So there's a bunch of big numbers, so it feels like we're actually going to start in a reasonable place instead of doing something just outright completely difficult, but, you know, I'll eat those words in like 10 minutes or something. That's not true. These puzzles always take longer than I think they do. Is this right? Yeah, 13 and 14 should have the same amount of overlap, which is all but 2. So both of these sort of look like that. Give like a big old frame there. Weirdly, it doesn't like continue to frame because like neither the I guess it'd be the row below this, but like neither this row nor this column have like big numbers in the same way of the 14 and the 13. We do have 11 and 10. It's actually a bit weird. Let's do this the straightforward way to start with, but then we're gonna have to examine it again because it's gonna look a little weird. So we're dealing with a 3 grid by 3 grid, or like 15 spaces by 15 spaces. Which for, I think 10 and 11 also have the same amount of overlap. Which is to say, if you were looking at 15 of these, and 10 of them had to be filled in, then there would be, like, flexibility of 5 on either side that could be filled in. But, like, the middle would have to be filled in no matter what the configuration is. Now, the thing we have to re-examine here is the fact that we already know that this row up here is filled in. So that limits where the 10 can go by, like, kind of a significant amount. It could still reach up to the top for as far as we know. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's really, I mean, like, honestly, I think even this space down here, the one I'm highlighting now, I think that technically has to be filled in. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, like, it would have to reach one further down. Because there's no way that it could count all the way up to the top. So basically, the last space can either be the top row or this one, but nothing below that. Oh. Right, I'm on purple, so I made that hard for myself. Nope. Change, please. But then I think we basically do the whole same thing for this group of 11. Because, like, we would start by saying that... No, that actually is different, right? 11 is all but 4 on either side. But, like, it has to count up to here. This is only one continuous group. And then if we look at that again, that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Well, that's not right, right? It would count down to 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, and 10 can go above or below. And they're both at 9. So I think it looks like that. Man, I said this was gonna be easy, but looking at what I'm doing to myself here, like, I'm gonna regret doing this. The likelihood that I'm conceptualizing this correctly feels very low. There are a ton of groups of 5 in these rows. That feels very weird. Okay, so we did that. We have a couple of rows, or no, we have a couple of columns that have a 1 and a 9, and then also this far left one has just like 9 in it. So it might be important to think about this differently. So out of 14, you have all but 5 overlap. I think that essentially looks the same way I would do that otherwise. That's probably fine. One thing that lets us do because of that is the far left or right edge, is that we can close off all the first groups, which in most of these cases is 1. So it's not all that helpful, but it gives us a little information. Speaking of a little information, this far right column only has 1 space in it. That's going to be annoying later. That feels like that will be solved late in the day. Okay, so there's nothing bigger than a group of 2 in this row. That's neat. But, like, all these have 5, so I'm not messing around with that. That could be part of the 5, I don't know. Yeah, I think you hit on it a little bit there. Nego's sort of trying to figure out why it is that Tama works better than Date, despite the fact that both characters have, like, similar personality traits in, like, taking joy in bringing up sort of lewd, bordering on uncomfortable things. I think part of it is that her intent comes across as playful, as opposed to with Date, where it seems like straight up, like, lecherous or creepy. And it's not that you necessarily get the intent that, like, Date is, like... How do I put this exactly? Like, it doesn't necessarily come across like he is some sort of criminal in that way, but, like, it definitely doesn't seem like he's just joking, and I feel like that definitely makes a difference, even though it, like, shouldn't exactly. You know, I'm actually paying a little closer attention to this row that I started working on. So it needs a group of 4. I've, like, ruled out, like, a bunch of spaces in the middle. So, like, the group of 4, like, definitely has to be down here. And there's, like, only so much flexibility that exists. And then I need to have a separate group of 2, which pretty much has to be there. And then, like, one of these spaces is filled in, and it's probably this one. But I don't actually know that. But it's probably that one. Just because, like, 14 is going to take up all but 1 space in this row, so that feels very likely. Nego says, I think it's also that she doesn't just like lewd stuff. She likes horror-type things and finds cuteness in things. I mean, I don't know that I strictly disagree with that, but I think my impression is part of it is that it's not. Whereas Date, like, literally just likes lewd stuff because he's, like, a dude with no filter. I think a big part of why Tama behaves that way is because she enjoys seeing Ryuki's reaction. So, like, again, it's not so much that she's gonna do something uncomfortable. She's just like, I'm gonna say something, and you're gonna feel weird about it. Maybe it's just because, like, I was a little bit like that in high school that feels less icky. But, like, also, that's not, like, a great time in my life, so I wouldn't, like, recommend that. Hi, Castle Arg. Tama's rating is good, but her VA sounds very generic. I would say it's early to call that. We haven't seen her in a ton of variety of scenes. And so, you know, you can't follow Uncle Zoidberg's directing style and have everyone show every emotion in all scenes, you know? Like, there's a certain limit to what you can do. I mean, I definitely like the quality of the voice. I'm not saying one way or another that I think that the voice actress is, like, good or bad, but, like, I just think it's early to say. Derek Dave says, the VA sounds like me? I probably shouldn't go on and on about this, but if it's what everyone wants to talk about, we could do that. I will say, anyone who happens to just be watching Murder by Numbers here on YouTube in the future, I'm addressing you in the future. I do recommend the AI games. I've been playing AI Somnium Files most of this year until I finished it, and it coincided almost exactly with the release of the sequel, which I've been playing, and while I have sort of mixed feelings about the original game, I've really been liking the sequel. Hey, also don't forget that even though it didn't work out correctly yesterday, there is a new channel point redemption if anyone would like to be VIP for today. It should be reset because it's a new stream. So you can spend a lot of points, and then I will VIP you until someone else redeems it. And then they will take the crown, more or less, is my concept of how this works. Man, I'm not going to solve any puzzles today, huh? I'm just going to talk. There you go. Alright. I haven't quite figured out the easiest way to do this just yet. But I think this works. Okay. This should work. There you go. It should work for you, Neko. Okay, maybe I should solve a puzzle. Okay, check this out. This column has only groups of 3. This space has to be filled in. There's only 4 spaces in a row here. So we should be able to say that these 2 are definitely filled and one of the others is too. There you go. You are the... Neko, you have the distinction of being the first person ever to hold VIP status on this channel. Yeah, that's the point. You get the badge. That's what VIP refers to, is you get the VIP badge. I kind of don't... We have kind of a small community, and I don't necessarily love trying to, like, make other people feel unimportant by flagging certain people, especially in a community of this size. So, like, maybe someday I will use other VIP slots, but I figured sort of gamifying it would be a fun thing, since I know people always want more channel point things to do. Okay, so let's do... Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it is definitely possible that this is the one and that the 9 is somewhere down here. We could also... So there's literally no way that this space can be filled in, which would also then apply here. And I guess that does also inherently make that the top group, right? So then what we end up with is 9, 10, 11 total spaces. So it should be 2 on either side. Like I said, she was surprised that my mom, who watches the vast majority of my streams live, hasn't been a VIP this whole time. I mean, again, largely, I just felt like it was kind of a slippery slope if I VIP'd someone it might make other people feel bad, and then I'd have to like stress about it. Um, I would definitely give my mom VIP status, but I also think that she probably doesn't care, and I just think mom wants to watch the stream. I may be mistaken in that. Feel free to call me out live. That's totally fine. Alright, so I put a bunch of purple squares on the board and really am not paying attention to what I'm doing. How's everybody else? Oh, hey, look at this. So, the top group here has to be 2, and I've already limited this in such a way that it has to be there. So that's fun. Also, this whole column has only 2 spaces in it. That actually feels like that's very useful information, if I'm gonna be honest with you. So, since we already know that one of those is filled in, like, most of these can't be filled in. Which then means closed group of 1, pretty much all the way down. Actually, yeah, no, yeah. I mean, the way this all looks, it would, my guess, 13... Yeah, it basically, this column should fill all the way down to the bottom. That seems to track correctly. Oh, also, this row where I filled this space in, that only has groups of 1, so nothing on either side of that. Which then, in turn, makes that the group of 2, which then makes that the last group of 2 in that row. Alright, I'm slightly less rusty than I figured. That's a little promising. Alright, I could do something here, but I don't want it. I don't feel like doing it. I think I have to, though. I think I probably have to, if I'm being honest with you. So I think that's roughly where we're at. I do have a curious case of 7 and 1. Anything else I want to look at before I start messing around with these groups of 5? Do 8 and 1 and 7 1. So, like, hypothetically, you could do, like, 1, 2, space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, space, 1, etc. Or, like, 1, space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's, like, pretty considerable overlap there. Believe that looks correctish. It's correctish. My confidence level is not high, you may have noticed. This one's gonna be a little different since the top group is the big one. So it could be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc. Or 1 space 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what's interesting about that is that once again we know that the top group has to go up here. So like this isn't guaranteed, but like since these bottom 2 should be overlap, it should mean that like all of those should definitely be part of the group of 7. Which should mean, looking at this row, like, the next group to the left of these 2 I've already established should be another group of 2. So, like, that should work like that, and then this should be empty. Which then should mean that this is filled in, and this is filled in. 1, 2, 2, 2. No, that's too many 2s. Nah, dog, that's too many 2s. Undo this. Actually, no, this logic is correct. This is the next group to the left of 2 2s, so that should be a 2, and we already had that endpoint. So that just means that this 1 is just the 1, right? 1, 2, 2, 2. 1, 2, 2, 2. 1, 2, 2, 2. Okay. This is interesting. So if we look at this row as an example, which may very well influence rows around it, certainly the one below it. Here we already have a continuous group of 4. The largest group in this row is 5. Same for both of these two. They're the same row. If we were to try and fill in this one of the 2 available spaces, instead of having a group of 5, you'd have a group of 7. So, like, that can't be it. So then that means that both of these have to be filled in on the other side. But then that also tells us that these are exactly groups of 3 on the other side, and we finish the rows thusly. I don't think I technically can make the same assertion here because the overlap from this column doesn't reach far enough down to confirm that this should be like the group of 2, and then like the space would have to be here. But ooh, can I do that here though? Yeah. Because, like, there's no way that I could put one here and have this be a group of 2. It immediately becomes a group of 3. So then that suggests that, like, all of these should be part of the same group. Which seems to track. But then, like, again, if you fill this in, it just becomes big soup mess. So it should work the same way, just with an extra blank space. But since I already had this one filled in, I don't have to worry about where the blank space goes. Because I set a hard edge to 2, 2, 5, 1. Okay. Again, I pretty much can rule that this has to be part of the group of 5 because, like, it can't go any further to the right. So, like, at the very least, it has to go like that. And then, yeah, like, again, if I fill in this space to make it part of the 5 against this existing space, it becomes too big a group, so we should be able to do that. Can't fill out the whole row, because I don't know... I blocked this out, which tells me stuff about this far left column. Namely... Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the 9 space could either go in this available one or at the bottom. It can't go here, and it can't be any of these above ones. Which, if we look at this, lets us rule out leftmost groups, which probably should help us do something or other. Either something or other. Hey, Demolition, how's it go? Also, congrats on the garlic chicken, Echo. Ah, that is exciting, anime. Putting your current job at a gas station to become a software engineer. That's like a pretty big step up. Congrats on that. Enjoy this button. And now you have to go. Alright, later, Demolition. Good seeing you for 5 seconds long. Okay, so... I have my leftmost group of 1. I can't fit a group of 2 between here and the next point I've already established, which means this has to be part of the group of 2. Which means it can't reach all the way over to here, which is cool. Oh, also, just for fun, there's only groups of 3 in this column, and now there's only one place that can go. Great. So, if we return to the thing where I filled in these X's, that means that I can have a group of 2, like, here, or here. Either way, it is technically possible that these could shift over here. But, like, no, they couldn't all do that. The column where that would need to happen... Oh, top group is 2, so that's closed. That's good. It's only, like, 3 spaces where that could happen, which could be, like, these 3 spaces for all I know. That's very possible. I think I could do too much with that. Well, let's take a look at this column. Top group is 2, So, like, both these have to be filled, because we know that's filled. This down here, we've started working on. It needs to be 4, right? So then that has to be empty, and then one of the remaining ones for the column has to be filled in. That's a later problem. But what that does for us is it tells us that these are closed groups 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. For some reason, that feels sketchy, but it is still technically plausible that that is exactly the group of 7. And I'm just going to run with that and then restart later and be disappointed in myself. Similarly, ongoing this logic, that's not English. This has to be an individual group of 1, so that has to be separated as well. Very much feeling like these 3 are actually filled in here. It's just the way all this lines up. Oh, actually, let's take a look at it this way. This is helpful information. So this column on the other side of all these weird 5 groups in the middle, it only has a group of 2, which we've already filled in, and a group of 5, which we've mostly filled in. So we can conclude that this space is filled in, and then nothing below it is. Which then tells us that this is blank, because we do still have all 5 spaces there. This is filled in, this is filled in, and then because this has to be a group of 3, that should also be filled in. And there's one down here, we'll worry about that later. Similarly to when we were first working these out, if I was to fill this space, it would create a group of 6, so it can't be filled in, which means that the 5 has to go over here. And does this add up to 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great. That looks good on paper. So, 2, 1, 5, 1. Alright, that row looks good. 2, 1, 5, 1. Sure. 1, 2, 5, 1. 1, 2, 5, 1. 1, 3, 5, 1. 2, 5, 1. Doesn't work this out. This is probably filled in. This probably isn't. Maybe. I hope you have something exciting to plan to celebrate your transition from unexciting gas station job to very exciting software engineer anime. Boop, boop. Oh, I should be able to rule this out too, right? We have a top now. Did I already do this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Doesn't help much. The bottom row is only ones. Hey, though, look at this. One of those is filled in from that thing I did a minute ago, and it has to be separated. That narrows down where the last one goes. It's almost certainly here. Don't worry about it. Yeah, this should work the same way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, that's all fine. So we already have some space filled in here. The leftmost group needs to be 4, so all of those are filled in, and that tracks with this, right? 2, 4, 1. Cool. And because I filled this in, my theory should be correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is empty. This is filled in. That makes a group of 3. That all is fine. That all is fine. This is almost definitely filled in. Demolition says, still in horrible pain, but powering through tons of meds. How much of this is new development, Demolition? I know there's lots of things that you have to cope with, but it feels like this is more severe than what I'm used to hearing from you. You obviously don't have to share or talk about this, but this is a venting stream because I'm very depressed right now, and that's how we're gonna... Oh, this row is done, huh? 3, 1... 1, 1? Cool. That's... Alright. That ought to do something for me. 2. Man, I did a really bad job with these top groups. I could have narrowed down stuff like way earlier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, so far this is going fine. This row needs a group of 3, and now that can only exist in one space. And... that's like the bottom one group for all of those rows, so that's cool. And then I wish I knew where this 1 was. We'd be done by now. Hang on a second. Oh no, wait, hold on. This one's 14. Which means only 1 space, which I'm highlighting now, is blank. So all the rest of it has to be full. Right? I'm just gonna double check this because it's important. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Great. So that is the 1 for that column. So then how many 1s do I need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Only one of those is filled in. But this is our top 1 group for this column. That one should be done. What are we looking at here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That should be filled. And that's 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Is this right? All but 2? Yeah. Alright, I think that's what it is. Let's take a second to look at it. It is a shape. I'm looking at it, and it's kind of just like a slanted box. I don't know what this is. Someone stepped on a Pepsi logo? It's unclear to me. Let's check in with Chad before I fill this in. I should probably do it simultaneously, but I have so little brain space. Did treat myself to buying 32 gigs of RAM and 2 1TB storage solid-state drives to install into my laptop. That's a good upgrade. That's a nice treat, Anime. I approve for the nothing that matters to you. But yeah, that should be a good update. Demolition says, I legit think I did something with my shoulder, lower back. Ooh, like torn a muscle. Ooh. I'm sorry to hear that. I don't think I've quite reached that level of injuring myself. I do quite a lot to not injure myself, which is to say I don't do things. But being an old person, I still manage to injure myself by just sleeping, which is great. I mean, honestly, what I'm dealing with isn't a huge deal. It's just that depression doesn't actually let you discern as to what is the end of the world and what is just your brain telling you that everything is ruined. Those printer icons. Ah, maybe. It could be. Ah. Yeah, I haven't had anything this bad outside of things that required surgery. I've been fortunate enough not to need a lot of surgery. I know my sister's had to go through a lot of that in recent years. But, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm also an American with, like, pretty bad health insurance. So, like, I definitely don't get stuff checked out maybe as regularly as I should. Because our whole system is bad. Things like this contribute to the depression. Basically, like, stuff that is beyond my control that makes the mere thought of existing more stressful. Like, really flag my depression hard. And I don't know if you've heard of the news here in the year 2022, but basically everything falls under that category. Basically anything you can hear or talk about now is bad and stressful and seems to indicate that the future doesn't exist for people like me. And that stresses me out really bad, man. What am I looking at? Honestly, that's very close to the Squish Pepsi logo. I feel pretty good about my guess, frankly. Yeah, I did just get a new hard drive because after, like, how many years has it been since I set this one up? After almost exactly 4 years, I've filled up my 3 terabyte hard drive with, like, stream stuff, even though I haven't posted all of it to YouTube. Anyway, clothes rack. I can't imagine how I would guess that by looking at it. Puzzle time. But yeah, feel free to vent, because, like, I'm probably, like I said, just gonna mutter some depression-based stuff like I was just doing for a minute there, because, like, I don't get to turn it off. I was trying to explain to my mom earlier today that I had a nightmare last night to remind me to buy toothpaste. That's how my brain works. I go to bed, which is supposed to sort of like compartmentalize the experiences that I had in the day in a way that my brain can store long term and recover physically for the day ahead. And instead of doing that, I like constructed a complicated scenario where I was like living in some like complicated open concept hotel situation with a bunch of strangers I didn't trust, and they were stealing my toothpaste. And all of this seems to have existed only to remind me to buy toothpaste at the store today. But I didn't get like much rest yesterday because instead I had nightmares about toothpaste. That's cool. Isn't that cool? Are you jealous? I'm not doing great. Not doing great. Let's take a look at this 513. I got a feeling I can do that. Something with that. So there's a 5, space, 1, space, 2, 3. I mean, that's 1, 2, 3. We're not gonna get anything other than maybe some of the 5. Actually, we probably can't quite get the 5, huh? This was a fool's errand. None of this was ever doable. My music's bad and I should feel bad. Says, that's one thing my old company did that I liked. They had advocates to fight for you about those sorts of things. Like, your company had advocates to help manage, like, hospital bills and stuff? That is a really good thing. Let's do this one. Since it's only 10 across, I should definitely be able to do something with the 6. So, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... space 1. Oh, is that just the whole thing? Is that the only configuration that works? Because that's the earliest that can. Yeah, that's yeah, sure. 3. Nah, that's not big enough. This is not close enough to the top that I get any additional overlap from the fact that I know it's the topmost group of 4. That's not helpful. The anime says, I've slowly been releasing the accumulated insanity that has been cultivated by working in a gas station with some of the weirdest customers by being slightly annoying to some of the customers and playing Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. That's good. I've had a couple jobs that, like, started going south and, like, was just increasing the amount of, like, nonsense time I was, like, browsing, like, webcomics and things during work hours. So, like, I definitely understand that. Has anyone ever bought a Todoroki Man chocolate from your gas station anime? It's the one that has stickers in it. Oda really likes those. Hey, Haggis. It goes really poorly for me personally, but we're puzzling. We solved the puzzle. God, that took me like most of an hour. It's not going well in terms of productivity, but we did solve a puzzle, and you can't take that away from me. So this one here has to be part of the group of 4, because it's just too close to the right for that to not be true. So what that tells me right away is like 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that should be correct. That's what I call overload overlap, I think is what I was calling that before. So like it could go all the way to the edge, but it has to go at least 1 to the left because if I count to the edge, it doesn't account for all of the possible spaces. And then there's only one way that can go. The little that does for me immediately is determine that these spaces should be blank, and also these spaces should be blank because this column has only groups of 1. Similarly, that is true. That one's not true. Remove. Okay, back to purple. Purple mode engage. Anything else I can do right away? It feels likely this one's filled in for various reasons. Anyway, says no to Todoroki Man chocolate, but while I was on vacation, a customer got angry and the customer dropped his pants and pooped in front of the cash register. Are there consequences for that? I want to believe that there are, but It's 2022, so like, I don't know, man. People just do stuff now. Okay, here's a fun fact. This space has to be part of the group of 3 for this column, because I can't possibly put a group of 3 above it and still separate it from other groups. That means that there's no way for this space to be filled in. It's not helpful, but it is true. I guess similarly, there's no way to have anything like a full group of 3 further right than this, so this has to be part of the group of 3. Although that information is not actionable, and I don't think I could do anything with that, because it does actually reach the edge, as opposed to this group of 4 where I did the thing. Got banned. Getting banned feels like getting off easy from doing that. That doesn't seem right. Oh god, we're gonna be here for like 2 hours solving just this puzzle, aren't we? Oh, it's a tough day. It's a tough day. You know what I'm mystified by, and this is like apropos of absolutely nothing. I know that there's a really famous Twitch streamer named Amaranth who manages to make news by doing just anything. She makes ridiculous numbers and ridiculous money. And like, maybe a year ago, maybe just a few months now, I honestly have lost all track of time. But like, for some reason it was in the news that she like spent like a large sum of money to buy a gas station. And like, I get investing in real estate, but somehow that just felt really weird to me. That just felt like a weird thing to do with your money. Echo suggests there should be a common sense law to arrest someone for malicious pooping. Yeah, but then you have to prove malicious intent. The law is weird. Also, I'm not sure that I want to watch the inevitable Law and Order spin-off, Law and Order Malicious Pooping Unit. That sounds unpleasant. I really don't have a lot to go on. Either that or I'm just dumb, but I think it's a combination, frankly. Okay, so like, these both have to be individual groups of 1. These rows have only 1s in them. This has to be part of 3. I mean, this can't be a 2. Because there would be... The bare minimum is that this could be the second group of 1, and then this would be a 1. So I should be able to put an X here whether or not this one's filled. This could be middle 2 or right 2. Yeah, Law and Order MPU. You get me, Mr. Generic Name. I don't know how we ended up here. It's gonna continue to be a weird stream. Please factor that in for yourself. Television says, Law and Order MPU. The Law and Order theme plays, but it's farts. Back when the Kevin and Bean Show used to exist, which was a Monday through Friday morning radio program that I used to listen to until the pandemic started, because that's when they canceled it, which is insane to me. But like, they used to have this game where like whenever like a new song would come out from an artist that they would play on that radio station, they just had this running joke that like everyone on the staff would just pretend that they had the real clip, and they'd be like, oh yeah, I just heard that song, here it is, let me play it for you. And then they would just like play some like awful piece of music, like Yoko Ono screaming, or this like sad rodeo clown spoken word poem that came out in the 90s, or one of them was just Bohemian Rhapsody, but it was only fart sounds. And I believe they called, I don't know if they named it that or if this is the proper name for it, but they called that the instrument that created that song a hand farter. That might have just been them saying words, though. I don't know. This puzzle sure is. Oh, man. 10, yeah, no, that's... No, wait a minute. 13 is all but 2. That should do nothing. That should do nothing. That's nothing. That doesn't do anything for me, but it's accurate. It should be all but 2 out of 15 overlap. So it should be 2 blank on either side. I don't think I can get any overlap out of this one, but I haven't tried it. I'm gonna try it for the sake of trying it. So like 1 space 1, 2, 3 space 1, 2, 3, 4 space 1. That's not relevant. So like 1 space 1, 2, 3, 4 space 2. Huh. I don't think that counts. I'm gonna rule that I don't think that counts. But I'm pretty sure that 1 space I found there, I think this is legitimate overlap. You know, I know that in the past, Mr. Generic Name has expressed concern that I would beat this game more quickly than he could get spare time to finish it in his free time. But, I mean, you've seen me play it this and the week before my birthday, and both times I've just gotten absolutely nothing done. I really don't think there's any concern for that in particular. I don't think I could do anything with this. Alright, so this has to be part of group of 6, right? And by the principle of overload overlap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That should be correct. Like, that's just, it has to cover that. I appreciate the positivity. Mostly just like I'm just like, I can't, I've been like, my brain's been like firing so hard lately that like, it just like can't do anything when I need it to. So like, puzzling is really difficult. This one I don't think I could do anything with. I'd love to just like sort out where this group of 3 is. I don't think it's all that important, but I would like it. I would like that information. Just to be clear, that's not tell me. I just would like the information. I know sometimes that sounds a certain way, but it not that. 1 just ugh, it's just bad when there's so many like groups of 1. It's like really creates problems for me. Doesn't really give you a lot to go on. This one's significantly harder than the previous one. It could still be like 1. Can it 1 space 1, 2, 3 space 1, 2, 3, 4 space 1. It is definitely possible for all 3 of the spaces above this to be blank and still have every one of those groups accounted for, which is wild. If I could rule that that was the case, it would make my life a lot easier. Yeah, exactly, Neko. Like, I'll tell you what, I was joking yesterday that for my birthday I got a new smartwatch. My old one died months ago, and that's been pretty miserable for me too. The old one dying, not the new one. The new one's been an adjustment. It does have a stress button, and I got really stressed earlier today. And I pressed the stress button, I'm like, let's find out what the stress button does. So it scanned something, probably like my heart rate for like a continuous period of time or something. And it seemed to rate, I can't actually make heads or tails of this. I think it rated that I was stressed. It put a dot at the deep orange end of what it's gauging as the stress spectrum. And then it told me to breathe, which thanks for that. Technology. Very helpful. Oh, good grief. I got like nothing. Okay, hold on. Okay, alright, look at this one, right? So here I have this X underneath this space. The top group for this column has to be a group of 3. If I was to try and fill only the spaces above this with 3, it would not separate from other groups. So, that has to be the group of 3. Which then, because there's only 1s in this row, has to look like that. Which... for this column, this can no longer be filled in. This is the top group, in theory. Yeah, right, I go, good thing that I pressed the stress button to find out that I should breathe when I'm stressed. Very helpful. I mean, I'm gonna level with you. There's an extremely high chance that this space is filled in as part of the group of 3 for this column, which would then allow me to determine that this is a group of 3 for the row, which would be super good to know, but I do not know that. That's not correct. Well, it's not that it's not correct. It is correct to say that I don't know that. Yeah. Okay, so... I feel like I can virtually determine that this should be a group of 1. Well, I guess I can literally determine that, right? Because, I mean, it has to be something, right? And so, like, if there's a group of... okay, it seems to be verifying what I'm suspecting here. Because, like, this could be a group of 1 over here. But, like... I wouldn't be able to, like, have this be part of a group of 2 and then have 2 1s to the right of it. Which... I don't know if it's cheating to use the game's determination that this is the second to last group of 1. Because if I then filled in this space over here, it would determine that this... actually, no, it wouldn't. It wouldn't even determine that, because this could still technically be the group of 3 up here. And then there would be nothing below it, but... I'm just gonna leave it like that, because it should be the case that if I tried to fill the space left of this as though it was the one group of 2 in this row, then there would not be space for 2 more 1s. The game is trying to convince me that this has to be filled in, which might technically be true. Well, let's think about this. 1 space 1 space 1 2. Oh. Yeah, I didn't really check this properly, huh? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Yeah, it's 10 if I don't fill in the other side. So, like, yeah. That should... space, space, fill. which then makes that a group of 1 if true. 1, 1, 2, 1, 1. I don't feel good about that, but that should be correct. I'm also a little sketchy on this overlap I created, but, like, in theory, if the logic that led to that was correct, these have to be filled in now. I mean, this has to be part of the group of 3, right? So if this is blanked out, this should be overlap, and this should also be a group of 1. And there's only groups of 1 in this row, so that should work like that. Space. Yeah, that doesn't do anything. That's nothing in particular. It could be something. Could not be something. Any way to rule this out? No, there shouldn't be yet, I don't think. This could be part of the same group of 4. That is possible. Two of 4 ones needed? Yeah, I mean, that's a good point too, Neko. I mean, stress is sort of a difficult thing because, like, there isn't good and easily applicable advice for stress. Like, one of the things that stress is naturally very good about is sort of, like, overriding your normal ability to handle or address or cope with whatever situation you are confronted with. And so it's like so easy to just be like, count to 10 or breathe or something. But, like, when you are, like, emotionally overcharged like that, like, you can't always just do that. Especially if you're like me, and, like, I've struggled with some, like, anger stuff in my past. And, like, frankly, still to some extent. It's, like, a lot better than it used to be because I put in, like, a lot of time and energy and effort to do that. But, like, it's very hard. Miserable row. Several of these I'm not a particularly big fan of. This could technically be part of this group of 3, and thus all information here is useless to me. No, that's nothing. I mean, honestly, so far nothing has ruled out the possibility that all 3 of these spaces are blank and that everything below it is just filled in. Precisely in that fashion. Yeah, that could technically be filled in. Ugh, this is difficult. I wouldn't say that this puzzle is too hard. I would say that I am not currently enjoying it, but I definitely think that has more to do with me than it does with the puzzle. I mean, interestingly, if I can fill in any space above this X, then the highest up place the next group of 2 could be is, like, here. Which honestly looks plausible, although in no way is confirmed. Because there's a lot of the time we're stressed over real-life problems. Some is just in our head, but that doesn't make us any less overwhelmed. Counting to 10 doesn't just delete problems. Yeah, but, I mean, I guess I'm talking about something a little different than just stress. Maybe it's a little closer to, like, stress and anxiety simultaneously. But, like, the thing that I dealt with today, like, set off my emotional state. So it wasn't just like, oh no, the situation is difficult, because, like, that's kind of just my neutral state. But it was like, I felt, not like in a literal sense, but I felt, like, attacked by the situation. and was having difficulty coping and like trying to continue to pretend to be like a human being and not some sort of angry gorilla. There's too many ones. I don't care for this many ones. I think I should know this reference, but it's not coming to mind. Anime says one way to deal with stress is climb a mountain in Nepal, find a magic gong, ring the magic gong, let the sound take the stress in your body, and manifest it as a giant monster which you then kill, using an assortment of weapons that you've brought for the purpose. Yeah, but like, where do you find a Sherpa? Like an affordable Sherpa, you know? Life's tough. I mean, I could make a lot of progress on this if I just made a couple guesses, which I don't really want to do. There's just too many ones. No, I can't rule this out, huh? So, like, this has to be part of the group of 3. It could technically reach down here. Oh, interesting, though. Interesting! Hear me out on this. There are essentially 2 possibilities here. One is that this is the group of 3. These spaces here continuously. In which case, this space would have to be blank because it would need to be separated from the group of 1. Alternatively, these 3 spaces could be the group of 3, and then this the group of 1. And then this simply would be not filled in regardless. No matter the case, this space should be blank, which means that this should be part of the group of 3, which doesn't do all that much for me, but it does something. Episode of regular show. Oh, weird. I wouldn't probably know it, but I feel like I should know that somehow. I've only seen like 2 episodes of regular show. I didn't think it was bad, but I'm not sure it's for me. It didn't like grab me or whatever. Yeah, I mean that could still be a group of whatever. So okay, how many spaces in this big one? 1, 2. 2 for 5, 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 3. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, I'm not getting a lot here. I think I have to, like, pose some sort of hypothetical situation in order to advance this. I can't figure out a strictly logical thing to do. Film 2. There's just, like, most of what's left is just small numbers. Hang on, though. Hypothetically, 1 space, 1, 2, 3... space... Yeah, there shouldn't... Okay. Because of what needs to be left of the 2 groups of 1, I think I can determine that this should be part of the group of 3 that I really want to prove. Because, like, if I was to do, like, 1... Like, the furthest left it could be is, like, 1 space, 1, 2... Like, 1, 2, 3 filling this. Now, obviously, that can't be the case because it makes a group of 4 here. But we could argue, like, 1 space, 1, 2, 3. But, like, you really can't do more than that. Because, like, we know that this is an endpoint. And it has to be tiered. Like, it just... I'm pretty sure it definitionally has to be part of the group of 3. Which, if true, means that's a group of 3. Which I don't think I could do anything with. But that's then the position for the group of 6. Which limits where this group of 4 can be. Can't quite put any overlap for the remaining group of 3 for this column. Which is dumb and I hate it. This being true means there's only 1 more individual space filled in this column, but it could be up here. And if that was possible, then it could be like 1 and 1, and then this is the group of 2. I just don't really have that much information there. They're such small groups. Anyone else want to complain about something? What's everyone else dealing with? I'm glad anyone has like good news. Does anyone have good news? Tell me your good or bad news. Swearing. So many individual spaces that would tell me so much, and I can't narrow like any of them down, and I hate it. I appreciate you pandering to me, Demolition. Good news, this stream tonight. However, I am concerned that you've gone blind or deaf or are somehow not actually watching the stream, because it's mostly just me staring at this same set of filled out purple squares, dissociating and then grumping at chat. How's that? Is that doing it for you? Jeez, Jiminy. There's just so many small groups. I don't mind a hard puzzle, even if I'm just having a really bad brain day, but, like, I typically find ones that have, like, 60 or more % of groups in the whole picture be one tend to be frustrating. I wouldn't say that's, like, strictly always true, but, like, it tends to be true. Yeah, there's just, like, even when I'm trying to, like, weigh these options, like, everything seems like it can fit into, like, one of, like, 2 to 3 universes. Richard says, I'm here for the talking because I only see whatever I look at on the screen. It's just squares. I mean, the game makes a little more sense, Twitch, in the context of the murder cases. I don't happen to immediately recall if you've been around for much of any of those. We're currently doing some, like, optional challenge stuff, which means that the puzzles are harder and there's no story justifying what you're doing at any particular time. Basically, what we're trying to do, in concept, is these groups of numbers on the left and the top of the board tell you how many filled-in spaces there are in each row and column. And if you can use your brain to deduce exactly where all the filled-in spaces go, you fill all those spaces in, and it should, in theory, show you a picture of some recognizable object or concept therein. Now, the reality of it is that we're dealing with a small enough number of essentially pixels to create the image that usually it looks like user Ditto transforms parents fighting, which is to say a Rorschach test. Oh, that's nice, Neko. You're making plans to meet a friend in Germany next spring? We were trying to meet before the pandemic, but it's nice to finally sort something out. Yeah, that's good, Neko. You know, you can do what you can to be safe, but, like, it's good to do this. Eric Davis says, hanging with Ditto tomorrow, always fantastic. Should be a good time. Well, I'm excited about the revelation she pointed out earlier that Grubhub can now be used directly through Amazon Prime. In theory, that is a good tool. I don't know. I have this, like, mental block of grumpiness about, like, when I moved to this apartment, I was like, yeah, maybe I can get stuff, like, delivered here. That's the ticket. And then I checked Grubhub specifically, and it was like, there's, like, one restaurant that, to this day, I have no idea where it exists, if anywhere. And I don't just, like, that was just it. The entire delivery radius to my apartment was one restaurant, which is obscene, considering how many restaurants are close to my building. Oh, the groups are so small. And unlike that difficult one from the last stream, like, there's not, like, a big group that I can just, like, brute force with. and just try every permutation out. Like, that just doesn't exist. I mean, maybe you could make an argument I could do that with the 13, but, like, messing around with that would necessarily facilitate a restart if it didn't go well. I'm glad that Mr. Generic Name, who also has experience with this game, looks at this and mostly sees nothing. He says he sees one thing, and I appreciate him not spoiling whatever that thing is. And I believe that there is a thing. I believe I might be able to do something with that one thing, or perhaps less than that one thing. It would do me like a big favor if I could sort this column out. And honestly, I'm probably overstating how useful that is, because really everything I need is on the left side of the board. Right, one. Yeah, can't do anything there. It could literally be any space remaining. Or... okay. Here's something I'm missing. And this might be what Mr. Generic Name is talking about. So, we currently have 7 unaccounted for spaces here in this column, right? And 5 of those need to be filled in, which means I can fill in these 3. Which doesn't do a lot, frankly. It fills in another group of 1 there. Oh, you know what it does do, actually? It does do something. This column over here where I just put in those X's, it still needs a group of 3 that's unaccounted for. And now there's only 1 space that can go. Which means that that's blank 2. That's not a lot, but it's something. Okay. It also tells me that this space should be blank because if I was to fill this space in, it would become a group of 4, and the largest thing in this row is a group of 3. So what that means is this is blank, this is a whole group of 1, and this has to be the group of 3, which then is finished in this fashion. Which then also tells me that everything in this column is blank, because I have a group of 3 and a group of 1. Yeah, he's finally figuring it out or something. So, hang on. If we assume for a second that this was part of the group of 3, that would fill over to here, and then there'd be a space, and then 1, and then a space, and then I would need 1 more space for there to be another, which tells me that this can't be part of the group of 3, which means both that it is a whole group of 1 by itself, and that the other 3 spaces over here have to be filled in by necessity. This should definitionally be the bottom group of 1 here for this column. It does also indicate... Oh, Mr. Generic Dame, thank you for the 100 bits. Thank you so much for that. It's so generous of you. This down here, assuming everything I've done correct so far is correct, this has to be part of the group of 5, which then means that these 2 spaces have to be part of the group of 4, because this can only reach as far up as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can't go all the way up there. So there's only 2 continuous groups, so these all have to be part of 1, which then means that these have to be blank because the 4 can't possibly reach that high up. Also, I think this is correct. I believe that by the principle of overflow overlap, I should be able to count 3 spaces? Because it can either fill to here or it can fill in the other direction. But either way, it has to occupy all of those. So, like, this could be filled in, although I don't think that's actually true. I'll get to that in a minute. But, like, these should be blank. Those 2 should be blank, because this could still technically be part of the 4. But if we look at this, if I tried to fill this space in, it would mean that it has to be part of the group of 2 at the leftmost of this row. And that's just literally not possible, because then it would form a whole group of 3. So that should be empty, and that should be full. Should make that the group of 2. Also, because I put this X here, that should mean that this is the group of 5, which means that that's the group of 4 for that row. And there's only groups of 1 here in this row, which then makes this a closed off 1, which works out because this row already has everything it needs. Okay. Nothing bigger than 1, so I can put X's in there. And then I still need 2 individual 1s filled in. It's probably these? It's probably those. Space, 1, 2, 3, space. So, I no longer believe it is possible that all of these spaces can be empty. That might be erroneous, but I believe that to be true. Because if we now try to consider this as the group of 1 at the top of this column, then we would have to say that this space would be blank, then 1, 2, 3 filled in spaces, and then a blank before the next group of 4, and then I would need 4 spaces, which I no longer can do. So, what that means is that this top space should be part of the group of 3. Which means there's only one way that that plays out, which looks like that. One of these 2 spaces should be filled in, and then most of this should be filled in as the group of 4. That all looks correct. That finishes this row. 1, 2, 3, 4. Finishes this row. 2, 3. 2. Yeah. Okay. That's all still possible. Great. Only groups of 1 here. Oh, only groups of 1 there, which means that this should be filled in to make the group of 1 at the top of this, which then makes that the finished group of 2 for the top row, which then means that this space should be blank, and these both need to be filled in because I need 2 more, and that's the only way to make that work, which makes that a finished group. And also there's only 4 1s, which are 1, 2, 3, 4 accounted for now, so that's done. Also, because I produced an X in this column, this should now be a point of overlap until it's completed. Okay. And that's the last group of 1 for this row, so that row is done. That one's not done yet. That's not done. 3. I mean, like, this, like, has to be filled in, right? Because assuming everything I've done is correct, I deduced that this is the group of 3, and now I've put some more X's in here or something. This didn't seem obvious before. I'm assuming I'm not that dumb, but who knows. So, I need another filled-in group, and there's only 1 space that can do that. But, per the deduction I did earlier, if this space is filled in, then this has to be blank, and this is the group of 3, this is the group of 1, and the rest of this column is empty. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 1, 1. I mean, that would look right because there's like a million spaces it can go in. I think that's correct, though. Because, like, these 2 were filled in, and then if I tried to fill in another one in this direction to make 3, it doesn't work. So, like, this should be correct. I'm willing to commit this far. Only groups of 1, so this is finished, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 2, 1, 1. 1, 3, yeah, okay. So what do I need here? Oh, that's interesting. Take a look at this column now. I got 2 individual spaces filled in. I need a group of 2 and a group of 1. I have 4 spaces left, which means that this group has to be 2 that are filled in, and one of these should be filled in. But that also means 1, 1, 3, that I have this row filled in, which then makes this the group of 4, which then blocks this off. 1, 3, 1, 1, because I have everything there. And I need this to be filled in because I still need 1 for the column. 1, 1, 1, 1. So that should look like that. That should look like that. And what am I missing? This row is done, so this should be filled in. 4 and 4 ones. Okay, I think that's it. I think that's it. I think it looks like that. What is it? I think it's a jackhammer. I mean, it's not, but that's kind of what it looks like. Man, I'm gonna be so bummed when I fill in these spaces and it doesn't work. Oh, God. Alright, it gets really loud when I do that. I should never do that. No, shut up. You know, this does have a curious shape to it when you outline it like this. Is it a traffic man holding, like, a stop sign? I don't know why this thought just occurred to me. You know that game, like, 20 questions, where you're, like, asking a bunch of questions to figure... Is it, like, a dude holding a sign? It really kind of looks like it. It's a raisin in a napkin rack. You know, it's a coat stand. I guess I sort of see it, but, like, the problem is when it's just, like, purple and, like, ill-defined. Like, gradient color shading doesn't feel like it works really good in this game. Definitely Ditto's parents. I mean, the purple coloration isn't helping that either, right? Like, presumably there's a Ditto involved. Anyway, sure. But you know that game, like, 20 questions, where, like, someone, like, thinks of anything at all, and then you ask them a series of questions to, like, narrow down to try and figure out the thing, and if you get it in 20, you win, and if you don't, you don't? I don't know, there's various versions of this. I'm probably explaining it poorly. But if you've ever heard of this, it occurs to me that a funny question to ask to try and narrow something down by kind of a categorical amount would be to be like, all right, is this thing you're thinking of, is it something that would appear in Boss's office from AI the Somnium Files? Which, like, basically narrows it down to, like, a dartboard or a holiday decoration. Or, like, a boy band poster, or, like, a small, like, limited number of office objects. But, like, there's a relatively finite number of things. Like, you will find a lot of those things in Boss's office. But, like, it kind of limits what you will see, you know? Okay, all but 6 on either side, so, like, not, like, a whole lot of overlap, but that's my 9 right there. Or, correct, there could be a giant tanuki with biology. Mr. Generic says, we play a game that kind of combines social deduction with 20 questions. My favorite question is it something you can buy at Target? Ah, that's good. That's good. I like that. I tend to like deduction things, which you wouldn't know by how much I'm... That's not correct. By how much I'm struggling to, like, accomplish anything in this game today, but, like, typically, I'm a big fan of those types of things. Although sometimes I get frustrated with social deduction games because they go a little off the rails. I have... Wait, is that right? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know why that looks weird to me, but that's correct. So, there should be overlap of 4, now that I've created this group here. And it is a 1, and I need 5 to be above. That should be correct. This also is a group of 1, because there's only 1s here. Let's do this big 10 row. I should get something out of this. Nope. So like 1, or like 1 space, 1 space. I mean, it's like most of that is overlap. Like, I believe it can start here or end here, but not both. And only one of those things. It's called Werewords. I'll have to look that up. I've not heard of it. There is, I think it, I don't know if it still is. I think it was marketed as a Target exclusive board game called The Game of Things, which is something that I used to play a ton of with my LA friends before they scattered to the four winds in order to conceal the secrets of the Avatar or whatever. And so, like, the way that game works is it has, like, a deck of cards that are, like, prompts to say, like, you know, things not to do at a job interview. And then, like, everyone has, like, a little notepad, and they write answers. And then, like, it is the goal of whoever read the question to try and... Oh, no. The person who reads the question is, like, the judge? And then everyone else takes turns trying to match other people's answers to the other players. It's been a minute since I played it. Thing you shouldn't give to your kids instead of Halloween candy. That sounds familiar. Is that a literal card in the game? It might be. We had some, like, weird nickname we gave to it when we rapidly decided that, like, we could just, like, make up questions that were at least as good as what the game provided and often better. I feel like I coined some funny name for that, and I can't remember what it is now. That is a literal card. Good, I'm glad that I recognize that. Man, I can't even talk now. Alright, let's try this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Space, 1, 2, space, 1, 2. There's not a lot of flexibility. This is gonna look pretty similar to the other one. We're like 1, 2, space, 1, 2, space, 1. Yeah, it pretty much looks exactly like the other one. It's like that's a lot of overlap, which would be useful, except for the fact that almost all of these are just groups of one again, which is this game's favorite trick. I might be over-analyzing or simplifying this. It feels like this game strongly chooses to emphasize the difficulty of the puzzle over the recognizability of the final project or image. Which isn't inherently bad, but it does lead to a lot of Ditto's parents fighting, if you understand my meaning. There might be, like, a better balance, possibly, but that's, you know, bias, for sure. All but 8 on either side. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. No, that means there's no overlap, right? No. Yes? Yes? Yes. There is no overlap on a 15 with a 7 because you could fit 7 on either side of the middle. So there's no inherent overlap. That should be correct. Okay, only one's here. Very likely this is 2 somehow, but I'm just gonna leave that. Yeah, none of that seems very actionable right now. Yeah, right? Like, I feel like it's the only explanation that comes to mind is to, like... Because, like, I feel like you could make a grid like this, you know, like a 3x3 grid, like, you know, 15 spaces by 15. I call it a 3x3 because it looks like Sudoku and it's like 3 individual blocks. But like in a 15 by 15 grid, if you're trying to make a recognizable image of something that's not super complicated, I feel like you actually have a decent amount of flexibility. But like they do a lot of things in this game specifically to like make the puzzles more difficult. There was something in the last week that sort of got me thinking this. Was it the gum? There was something recently where it was like, I feel like you could depict that in this size of canvas, and I would look at the finished product and be like, gum, or whatever it was. But like when I actually looked at it, it's like, no, but you like did it at this weird improbable angle that like doesn't make it immediately recognizable, but definitely makes the puzzle harder. Which is like fine. It's just different, you know? I don't know what my point is. My point is it's just different, you know? Just a lot of ones in this puzzle. I'm alerting you now. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of ones. I don't like them. Let's take a look at this column that has a group of 6 in it. I think I can do something with this. Okay. It should be pretty safe to say that the 6 have to exist above this space here. I guess I can't rule out that other things don't. How much space is that? That's 9. But I don't know that's the 6 is the only thing that goes in there. So I guess what I should do is just overlap. No. No, it's not right. Let's just do it the hard way. 3, 4, 5, 6. Space. 1 extra space. 2. Or 1, 2. Space 1. Space, space. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sure. We'll go with that. I think that's overlap. That any way I could have approached this, I would have ended up with this overlap. So that's almost definitely true. Maybe. This may be definitely true. Okay. In this row, the largest group is a 3, and it is the closest group to the right. So let's consider a universe where let's see how much we can cram, is my point. 1 space, 1, 2 space, 1, 2 space. Yeah, so this can't be part of the group of 3. There's just not enough space. Which means that these 2 continuous spaces have to be their own group. Is what that means. Now, another fun thing that tells us is this column over here on the right. Its largest group is 4. Oh no, I guess because there's a group of 1. The 1 could be some weird place in here. I was thinking I could, like, rule these 3 spaces out because the 4 doesn't fit in there. But, like, nah, there's just, like, too much uncertain in this row. So this is a thing I don't think I've, like, externalized or talked about. If the second space from an edge is filled in, and, like, the group that is closest to that edge is a 1, I'm pretty sure you get to, every time, blank the space on either side. Because if you think of it this way, the only thing that could be, like, left of this is, like, another group of 1, right? But you can't fit that in the blank space because it has to be separated. So you should be able to automatically blank out this space, and then because that first group is a group of 1, X the other side too. Yeah. I don't have a whole lot. Oh wait, hang on. This is actually super relevant because I did that. I should get 2 more overlap, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is also overlap. I don't have, like, a specific clever reason for it. It's just true. I mean, I guess at this point we've just limited the range in such a specific way that, like, now the overlap is, like, the middle 2/3, or the middle half? Yeah, the middle half of that group. It's really an elegant way of looking at that. But that's kind of relevant, because what that tells us, for one, this entire row is just done, which is weird. But that's what you get when you get all these little groups of one. Similarly, we now know that this middle space represents a group of 2, so there's one of these could still be filled in, but nothing else in that row can be. This one's a little more complicated. It could reach all the way to this edge, or it could 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but then like those are both still off limits no matter what. And then because I haven't confirmed this space, I can't do anything with the ones below it. Despite the fact that that feels very relevant, I can do almost nothing with that information. And by almost nothing, I mean maybe nothing with that information. This also should be blank for the nothing that's worth to anyone. Yeah, that can sort of go any of those ways. I mean, I guess one thing we should be able to do up here is overload overlap. So it should be like... not you. 3... because it can either be like the far edge to this, or this to this. But like those should be true. Which means that this isn't. Which means that this is. Which means that this has to be. Which means that this isn't. Which means that this is. Which means that this isn't. Also, what are we at now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Yeah, that looks right. Does any of that tell me anything that I need to know or care about? My immediate impression is no, which is fine. I need a 1, but that's really small and I can't do anything with it. I need a 1. This could really go either way. Well, I need something. I was looking at this right now. Currently have nothing. I mean, it's kind of useful that the only remaining groups are 2, but that doesn't really do much for me. This presence doesn't really narrow down where the group of 5 ends, because it can work regardless. Don't know whether this is part of the 3 or the 5, because you could put 3 here and make it the 5, or just slap 3 in the middle and do 5 on the right. I got a lot going on there. Oh, okay, here's something. There aren't enough spaces to put both a group of 2 and a group of 3 to the right of this group of 2 in this row, which means that there should be a group of 2 over here, and that the only thing over here is the group of 3, which would have 1 point of overlap out of these 5. Which doesn't tell me much, but that space is filled in. Is it possible that this is part of the group of 3? It definitely could be part of it, right? Be like 1, 2, space, 1, space. And that could be like the middle or the far right ones. I can't really do anything there. Oh, this one's more finished than I thought. This one should be able to fill in one of those 2, but everything else is done because I have all the other groups. 1, 4. I think I can actually do anything else in this row yet, even though it feels like I should be able to do that. Could technically be like these 4 and then this, or this could be part of the 4 in any direction. Because I still need a 4 and a 1. I don't have anything with the 5 yet. I don't have anything with this probable 3 or this one. Oh, hang on. Because I blanked 1 space, don't I get 1 point of overlap somewhere? Because now it's 14? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, I still don't. I need one more. Man, I am so tired right now. God. I'm sure I still won't sleep well. Anyone else have anything going on in their lives? I have one piece of birthday cheesecake remaining. I'm gonna save it for tomorrow. And then be sad that it's gone. But, unfortunately, I'm not sure if you're aware of this. Science doesn't let you subsist off of cheesecake, or I would do it. I would do that. Instead, I find that as a human being, I'm supposed to eat like a balanced diet, which I'm no good at, and I'm really struggling to do. I'm trying so hard to lose weight right now that yesterday, for the stream, I dedicated so much time to working out that I forgot to eat lunch entirely. More or less. Slightly more complicated than that, but basically this concept. Which is like not a normal thing to do, and I don't recommend it. The point was not to skip the meal, it was simply that I was trying to make the most of that time, and then I just didn't eat, which is dumb. It's a dumb thing to do. I wish I could figure out any point in this column. I feel like it would tell me a great deal about this column. It's like a lot of small numbers. Okay. Here's a thing. I could always go for cheesecake. Pretty much always. So this tile has to be blank, right? Because there's only 3 groups here. A 1, a 3, and a 1. This obviously isn't the middle, so there's no way that there could be a 1 space below it unless there was also a group of 1 and group of 3, right? So more than anything, what that tells us is this space has to be blank, because if this one is, the 1 continuous group of 7 can't fill that space at all. But now that we've cleared multiple spaces here, we should be able to start building some overlap with this group of 7 down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Put that there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's these 2. Which means that should be a group on its own, and so should this be. Which should, in turn, just by the way that's positioned, mean that this is a group of 3. And somewhere over here, something's filled in. I don't like chocolate on your cheesecake. That feels specific. I wouldn't judge you for not wanting chocolate on there. That just feels like an interesting, like, line in the sand to draw. Like, it's... Like, I guess my point is that it would seem more natural to me for someone to just be like, oh, I like, a traditional cheesecake, and so, like, I'm not big on, like, a flavor like chocolate. Like, I kind of just like it to be, like, a classic cheesecake. But, like, to specifically just not want chocolate on it is interesting to me. But, like, I also think of cheesecake probably a little bit differently than mortals. Because the majority of cheesecake that I have is from the Cheesecake Factory, and they do, like, really decadent, fancy nonsense with it. So this space has to be part of the middle group of 3. You can't fit, like, a whole middle group between these 2, so, like, it kind of has to go there. Great, and what's interesting about this is that, like, because it has more than 1 continuous space, it has to be part of the group of 4 in this row. So, like, that works out nicely, and then I guess the 1 can still go anywhere. I really want to clear these out for no particular reason. You prefer fruits on yours. You are a much better man than I, because, like, I just want, like, the just grossest, like, dessertiest dessert possible. Always. One of my favorite things to get back in Pennsylvania, one of the local grocery stores would put out these cheesecakes that had like a brownie crust and a chocolate drizzle, and it was like pretty basic. Basically, they like fused the cheesecake to a small brownie on one end, but it was just like a really nice dessert to get like a couple different flavors in it. And it was just like my favorite. My mom would get it for me for like birthdays and stuff. And then on the year I turned 21, I got one, and it gave me some of the worst food poisoning I've ever had in my life. And it was a bit of a bummer because then I spent like my entire 21st birthday just being like super gnarly sick. And it's the last time I ever had one of those. And it's not simply because I got food poisoning that time. It's like one of the last times I like celebrated a thing and was still in Pennsylvania. I think that's true. At least, I mean, for kind of a while. But I really don't regret it because I love the cheesecake. Cheesecake is baked. Which I say fully ironically because I don't use that word. Oh, man. I mean, I feel like I've made a lot of progress here and should be able to do something, and yet here I am, just sitting in a car. That's two. Like, one of these two is filled in, which isn't shocking. Both of those could be filled in. Oh, I didn't really properly fill this out. So because I blanked this, I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then that's the top one there, and then that tells me exactly where the rest of it is, because that already filled most of that. And that's actually extremely helpful, because that lets me group off a lot of these rightmost groups, including that fairly large one, and this one. And this tracks, because nothing is bigger than a group of 2. And then... Alright. Now I have an extra point of overlap there. And again, this column has only groups of 2 or less. So that has to be separated on either side. Yeah, I mean, like, I'd gotten that cheesecake, like, a bunch of times before. So, like, something went wrong in transit or they left it out. Well, it probably wouldn't simply be that they left it out too long. It probably would have been that they, like, put the wrong sell-by date on it or something. I mean, if it makes you feel better, the tragedy of my 21st birthday, like, I don't drink alcohol, so it's not like it was gonna be a particularly interesting affair anyway. If I had to choose between alcohol and that cheesecake, easy call. So an interesting thing here is that this column that is now mostly complete is only missing one thing, which is a space here to fill out that group of 3, which then completes this group of 3 and this entire column. Dang, I still don't have any overlap with that too, because I have exactly too many spaces. Now I'm only missing one thing here, right? I need to finish exactly where this group of 3 is, so I could go like 1... It definitely has to fill this space, and I can fill either of these, and then these should be blank. Probably doesn't actually do anything now, but I won't let that information later. Can't do anything there. What am I looking at here? So the lowest group in this column has to be a group of 2, which I can't put here. So it would have to go here. But the actual really important part of that is that neither of these can be part of the group of 7 anymore. Which means we have, like, way more overlap. Still doesn't fill in this 10 spot, which wouldn't do, like, all that much for me, but I really want it. But that does, because it's an end row, it lets me say, finish group of 1, finish group of 1, finish group of 1. One of these is filled in. One of these limited number of spaces also filled in. The rest of that row is done. I hate this row. This row is really mean-spirited. I absolutely feel like I should be able to do something with this row. I currently can't. Still, somehow. We're not gonna change the math on this big group of 6 yet either. Which feels weird. Yeah, that's a group of 3 I haven't sorted out yet. Nothing there. Oh, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I added these doing something, so like that narrows this down a little bit. It means absolutely nothing, because like those, the only things that could go here are a single filled in space anyways. That really doesn't narrow anything down. Oh, actually, this column has only groups of 1. Oh, I guess that doesn't do all that much. It does do that, but I don't think that narrows where the group of 10 can be in any way. Like, all options are still viable. But one of these should also be filled in. Could easily be this one. I don't... Oh, the only things... Oh, actually, the only things remaining in this column are groups of 1. So this thing here is a whole group by itself. And because I need 3 groups of 1 outside of this group of 5, and there's no way to hold another group of 1 anywhere over here. Like, all of this is basically dedicated to 5 and blank spaces. I need 1, 2, 3. Which does make that isolated 1 that I've been looking for. Just like Lionel Richie was looking for in that song. You know the one. Does it do anything? I mean, the 4 can't go here. No, that was never the problem. My mom says, it's really sweet that in the midst of my bad day, I'd put a positive spin on my 21st birthday with the food poisoning. Hey, I vastly prefer that to the food poisoning I got on July 4th of this year. When I went to visit Tech, we went to this restaurant, like a needlessly expensive Mexican restaurant, and had like the worst quesadilla of my life, and then felt miserable the next day with symptoms that seemed to be in line with food poisoning, particularly because of their duration. So I'm pretty sure I had a really expensive quesadilla that also made me sick. And I'm like, great, that's a great combination of things. Super glad. I could still basically be anything. Wait, across... No, this is all still right. I mean, we're slowly and steadily making progress on this one, which I prefer to the ones where I stare at the same iteration of squares for like 30 minutes. Watching some of these streams back has been really painful for me. Just to like make sure everything's like fine when I put them up on YouTube. I'll like scrub through them and I'll be like 30 minutes of real time passed and I added like 3 squares, for God's sake. Yeah, I got not a whole lot I can add to the right side of this board right now. Oh, you know what's actually a little interesting? Huh. Now that this X is here... Yeah, now that this X is here, and I know most of this is occupied by the group of 10, I should be able to specifically state that this is filled in, and this is filled in, and this isn't. And because of the way this works, and because of the fact that both of those rows have only groups of 2, it should also mean that this is filled in, and this is filled in, and this isn't, and that isn't. And because the top group is 6, and because of various things about the way this works out, that should be filled in. 2, 3, 4, 6. And that should be the group of 6 there. I'm missing 1 somewhere. It's a nice sentiment, Demolition. It would be nice to meet all of the people, but, even collectively as the Renegade Constabulary, neither myself nor myself and Tech are famous enough to have some kind of big group meeting, and we're kind of all over the place, which is cool in its own way, but it does make the concept of doing that a lot more challenging than it might otherwise be. missing a whole group of 3 here, huh? That's kind of interesting. So those are filled in. And this one isn't, right? Because I already have group of 1 and group of 2. So that's blank. That's not extremely helpful, but it is accurate. Can't rule out much there. Is there any way? Hold on. 1, 2... 1... What? Yeah, actually, that could technically be part of the group of 2, so I can't do anything interesting with that, weirdly. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Not filled this in either. Because all the things that would help narrow that down are all in flux. Alright, now I'm missing something. Oh, hang on, hold on. Oh, that's annoying. So I have 1 space filled in here. What I'm missing from this row, still, is a group of 1 and a group of 3. Now, technically, I could have a 1 space, 1, 2, 3, or this could be the one, and these 3 could be filled in. I think if I had any 1 additional space in this row filled in, I could fill the whole row. Which might be relevant? Can't do that. Oh, it actually feels like there's a really high % chance that these 2 spaces in particular are filled in. You're going with octopus? That's your guess for the puzzle, Crit Twitch? It's relatively plausible. Also, you respect and appreciate the love and kindness, not as pleasant in such circumstances. Let me tell you a thing, Crit Twitch. I have had a pretty bad decade overall. I'm not really happy with where I am in my life or how old I am relative to certain life goals, which frankly aren't that lofty, which is in itself kind of depressing. And years ago, I had a couple of experiences in a short time frame that really forced me to make a decision, which was that I could become introspective and try to improve my approach to life and in turn the way I interacted with others, or I could just choose to be bad. I could just choose to be selfish and just deliberately not change and just lean into all of the bad things that my depression-riddled brain would just randomly tell me to do, whether they be like angry or wrought with despair or whatever just bad instincts I have. And I have spent a considerable amount of time and effort trying to be a better person, which in theory is great. And it's not that I don't recommend trying to do that, because I do think it's actually very helpful to do that. If for no other reason than if you struggle with like anything, even just like normal, like neurotypical emotional responses. Even if you just struggle with like, sometimes you get mad and you say a thing you don't mean. Like, becoming introspective and trying to figure out those triggers and trying to control them to whatever extent is possible is great for the people that you care about. It will improve your relationships, like capital R relationships, or relationships with siblings or parents. Like, it just actually just helps. But what I will say is that it has also been very difficult for me lately, because I look at the news and I look at the state of the world and how bleak everything is and how much power is in the hands of people who aren't responsible or introspective or reflective of the people they're supposed to serve. And it feels like there is no point in putting in the considerable effort to improve that. And frankly, that has been an increased part of my frustration lately, particularly today. Hey, this space is supposed to be filled in, and it's like relevant that that's true. Because it finishes this column. And because that's a group of 1, I now know none of these is filled in, and that all of these are filled in. It's really hard. And, like, also to be clear, the type of thing that I'm describing is something that a normal person would go to therapy for. And the reasons that I haven't are primarily twofold. One, as I mentioned earlier, my health insurance is not good and is difficult to deal with and is triggering in its own right, which isn't great. But also, the one time that I properly did try to go see a therapist, instead of actually trying to understand what I was struggling with, she took a specific element of my recent past and tried to make it a problem for me when it wasn't already. And luckily, I was in a position where I could identify that as real harmful red flag energy. Essentially, this was a point in my life not too distant from a breakup in my longest term relationship. And I was still dealing with some emotions from that, but it wasn't like it wasn't like my biggest day-to-day problem. There was other stuff I was trying to figure out. This was like right around the time that I started trying to improve myself in this way that I talk about. And I had mostly moved on from the worst of that relationship, and for some reason, this therapist was like, hey, what if you had a bunch of retroactive trust issues about this relationship that's already completely done? And it's like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, yeah, I think you should have trust issues. Like, it was more pointed and specific. Like, she was just like, I think that this means, like, something bad was happening in that relationship. I'm like, even if that was true, it does me no good to try and think about that now. It's just a wild, insane thing for you to even propose. And so, like, yeah, that gave me some, like, trust issues with the profession. I'm not saying I wouldn't, or that you shouldn't seek therapy, but, like, there's a real problem in the United States that healthcare is so not readily accessible. Because, like, I would go and try and see a bunch of therapists and find one that's a better fit for me, if it was something that was remotely easy to do. But it would cost me a bunch of time and money and paperwork to do that, and it turns out that these are things that trigger the bad emotions. By the way, this is where the group of 5 is, because I put that X there. That's exciting for me. So it's tough. I mean, there's a lot of systemic problems here in the United States that are boiling over right now, which is in one way good, because hopefully for future generations, such as they are, we will have a better system. But it sucks for me because I need help too. And I am born in a time where I don't get to have that. And that sucks. Hey, this column's done now, right? I only need 3 groups of 1. I don't know why it's like super real talk hour with Vasco, but like it is today. This is also done and has been done, and I don't know why I didn't just fill that in at some point, but it's true that this space also needs to be filled in because it's like the last space in that room. No, I completely agree with that for Twitch. And I think that's the most important takeaway from my experience. Again, it's not that therapy or therapists are bad, but rather that, like any type of relationship you have, there are people who fit for you and people who don't. Like, there are totally fine or good people in this world that, like, I could not stand to be friends with. That doesn't make them bad people or bad friends, but I should not and will not be friends with them. I feel like I should be closer to finishing this puzzle than I am, but I'm also just, like, doomsaying America. Wait, didn't I say if I filled in one more space in this row, I should be able to do the whole thing? I think that's an exaggeration, but... Hold on. One... So now that this is... No, I should be able to fill the whole row, right? Because now I know that this is a group of 1. And this is a group... Like, I have 3 groups of 1. And the way it works is that I need a group of 3... after 2 groups of 1. So all 3 of these should be filled in, and none of these should be filled in. Which then also, I mean, I guess this was fill-inable before. And that finishes this row. And this can't be filled in. Oh, this can't be filled in because this whole row is done. Yeah, I'm just not being diligent is like a real problem I'm having right now. So this is also done, because I have 1 and 2 and 2. Oh, this is now narrowed down to the point that that should be filled in, because I need that group of 2, which finishes that group of 4, which... This... It feels very likely that this is filled in. Nope, don't have that yet. Still haven't done, like, anything over here. It annoys me. 1. No, I'm the one creating the distraction. Chat's, like, agreeing with some of the radical statements I'm making, but, like, I'm the one who's randomly going off on a tangent about the American healthcare system, and among other things. But, like, these things have really been on my mind lately. I mean, obviously... There's, like, current events in the United States with the Supreme Court trying to legislate people's access to healthcare, particularly women. And that's all deeply messed up. So, like, that's probably part of why it's in mind. But, you know, that leads to the depression, and the depression leads to thinking about mental health care, and mental health care leads to thinking about how difficult it is to, like, find someone who's a good fit for you in a system that doesn't want you to get healthcare. Yeah. I'm pretty close now. If I figure out, like, 1 or 2 more spaces, I should be able to fix the whole puzzle, but I'm just, like, not doing it. Oh, hey, look at this! Wait, 1, 1, 1. This column's done. Man, I am doing terribly today. Cripes almighty. Yeah, I just need 3 ones, and those are all filled in. That should do... something, right? Does that do something? This is filled in. And this column has only groups of 1. Also, the whole column is done, right? So that means that this is filled in to make a group of 7. This is not filled in to make a group of 10. This is filled in to make a group of 3. Yeah, the only way for the top group to be 2 is this. Which means this isn't filled in. This is... This isn't. 2, 1, 1... 1? 3 ones? So that's finished now. 1, 2, 1, 1. That's finished. 1, 2, and then also 2 in the row. 1, yeah. Yeah? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we did it. We did it, maybe. What's going on? Oh, have you actually not heard about this, Neko? I know it's, like, literally world news, it's so bad. But, yeah, it's not technically... Is that technically legislation? No, it's not technically legislation. Legislation would come from Congress. So the Supreme Court in the United States is like the final word, and people in chat who are smarter about these things than me correct any details that are off, because I understand the big picture, but there's a lot of nuance to these systems that I don't know, and also don't seem helpful to learn because of how broken our system is, frankly. So the Supreme Court's sort of the final say on certain things. Like, essentially, if there's a legal discussion to be made, the highest court that can rule on it is the Supreme Court. It's made up of people who hypothetically have sufficient impartiality and experience with the legal system to be a judge at the highest level. And so, like, certain things might be appealed repeatedly up to that level, and once it reaches that point, whatever ruling they make determines sort of how that matter is handled in our country moving forward. There was such a case like 50 years ago that determined that women had a right to make their own bodily decisions when they became pregnant as to whether or not they wanted an abortion. And I know this is a hot button issue, and I certainly feel strongly about it. And the thing that's frustrating, perhaps most frustrating to me about the circumstance, which is surrounded by frustrating circumstances, is the fact that there isn't anything new that would cause there to be a new rule. It's not like there is some new case that came to their attention and that they reviewed it and they're like, you know what? Now that we review this specific circumstance in a modern light, we feel that this should be handled a certain way. Instead, these people who were put in place by primarily Donald Trump, which in and of itself should tell you something, they were chosen pretty much specifically to reverse that decision. So basically, apropos of nothing, one day, these judges, along with judges who were already part of that court, just declared that the federal government no longer guaranteed that women could make that decision for themselves, which triggered a lot of individual states in the United States to enact new laws on a state level that would make illegal or otherwise prohibit access to that medical procedure. So basically, these judges decided to make any sexual activity for women considerably more dangerous and remove really significant life-altering decisions about the future of their bodies. Take that away from women, which is certainly, in my opinion, not good. What am I looking at, by the way? It's, you know what? On the left here, this is definitely an Easter peep. I don't know what the thing on the right is, but this is definitely a little marshmallow chick for sure. The thing on the right kind of looks like, I don't know what specific Homestar Runner cartoon it's from, but there's some like little green goblin guy who doesn't have hands. This is like a weird kind of horned face and feet. It looks like he's on the right and it's an Easter peep on the left. Yeah, I mean, I was also raised Catholic. And frankly, like, I grew up having a lot of conservative beliefs. Which is, you know, neither here nor there. Like, it's just a thing that happened, and at a certain age, I learned things that, you know, I have my own opinions on them now. And the thing that really drives it home for me, because, you know, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Let me say two things about this. I'm gonna get very political here, which is very atypical for me, but, like, I feel like this is important. For one, whatever you feel about that procedure, shouldn't affect my decision, right? So let's make an abstract argument here, right? Let's say that instead of this being about abortion, this is simply about putting a cast on a broken arm, right? It's a medical procedure. There is an instance where it might save your life, or certainly save your limb, for you to have a cast put on your arm. But what if the government just said, you know what? Casts are against a popular religion in this country. They just don't believe that casts are ethically correct. And so no one can have casts. Well, that seems pretty ridiculous, right? When you break your arm and you want your arm to heal correctly, and you don't want your life to be jeopardized by a religion that you don't follow. Now, it's fine for people to follow that religion and believe whatever they'd like, but the popularity of that religion should not dictate what choice that you make, because religion should be a personal choice. And what's more frustrating to me, as an aside, is that one of the things that supposedly makes America great is that people like emigrated to here and started this nation to get away from a system that they felt was restricting their religious beliefs. But now, we've become a nation that is being persecuted by a majority of religious belief, which is very deeply frustrating, because these people are like, make America great again. But they choose to ignore the things that make America great. Yeah, the taxation is a separate issue that I also have feelings about, of course. But yeah, I won't go down that rabbit hole. But like, for one, it's totally fine for you to believe that you should not have an abortion, or that someone you're in a relationship shouldn't have an abortion. That shouldn't mean you have final say if you are not the person whose body is in effect. But, you know, maybe a conversation should be had if we are partners, what have you. I have to recenter myself. I had 2 points and I got lost in my sauce. Oh, the other one is way less helpful. But, like, to me, I mean, as a man, it's somewhat hard for me to fully appreciate all of the things involved with being pregnant and giving birth, right? Like, I just don't have concept of this. My body is different, so it's hard for me to weigh in on that, which is a thing that would be great for people in Congress to respect as well. But, like, to me, can you, like, have you seen the movie Alien? Has anyone in chat seen the movie Alien? Because, like, it's as simple as this to me, right? Like, there's an alien, shocker, that lays eggs in a human, and then that gestates into a baby alien that bursts out from your stomach area, right? It's a very deliberate metaphor. But so, like, imagine a world where, like, an alien, like, implants you with an alien egg, right? And you know this thing is coming. You know that, like, oh man, this creature is going to irreparably change my body and definitely kill me. This is an exaggeration, because this isn't how the actual thing works. But my point being, like, what if we lived in a world where, like, we knew that could happen, and somehow, against your will, you get this alien egg inside you, and there's, like, a procedure that's like, hey, you know what? We could stop that alien from bursting out of your stomach and killing you and creating a horrifying experience in the meantime. But you can't. We say you can't do that. We say that it would be better for you to go through an actual horror movie scenario. To me, that seems really messed up. This is definitely Peeps. I don't know how we got here. How's everybody doing? I'll admit I haven't seen Alien 3 because it doesn't come up super often on cable, and also I hear not great things about it. Apparently it's addressed to some extent in that movie, which honestly, frankly, makes the whole thing even more upsetting, because it's like, it was already such a thinly veiled metaphor. If we put that into a movie, and people, like, still don't understand it, am I looking at? Oh, it's one of these? Okay, hang on. Let me just... 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think these numbers are correct. I think the game is just glitching again. So, probably this? No, not that. This? That one. That one is a problem, and... What a dumb thing. Wait, I beg your pardon? Okay. I guess it's toilet paper. At a glance, it looks like, perhaps you're looking much too closely at a bust in a museum, and that's all I'll say about that. Partridge says, I'm not sure, but I think you accidentally deselected an X. I'm genuinely... I don't believe you're trolling, but I'm not sure. Basically, you don't need to put in the X's to solve the puzzle. They are more of a measure to help you understand where you still have to fill stuff in. But, there's a glitch we've encountered 2 other times in this game, where even if you fill in all the correct spaces, the game gets confused about certain filled-in X spots, and as long as they're filled in, no matter how correct the puzzle is, it won't credit you with solving the puzzle. It's only come up recently, and it's confusing and dumb, but like that's what was happening if this is your first time seeing me deal with that. So yeah, sure, toilet paper, right? Wow, I sure thought I was gonna get more of this done today. Woo. Alright, let's see if we can get one more done. Not optimistic. I don't like looking at this already. Yeah, these 7s don't do anything for me. Alright, that's my overlap on a 9, right? All but 6? God, jiminy. At least we got a couple, like, big groups at the top of these. But so, my point being is, like, to have to endure something like that against your will is so inherently terrifying that it's literally one of the most famous horror movies of all time. And so, like, we shouldn't just subject people to that unless we're insane monster people. Which apparently we are on a national scale, which is great. I love that. But yeah, like, I'm not... I apologize if I'm upsetting anyone. I guess. I don't know. Politics are hard these days because... in the United States, politics really feel like good versus evil. And, like, I don't think that's cool at all, but, like, it really feels like it's true. So, like, it's really difficult to be like, let's have a difference of opinion when everyone is just, like, frothing at the mouth. It's not like I have all that many people watching my YouTube VODs or anything. And they're not monetizable because not enough people do. So it really doesn't matter. You know what? I'm not even going to think. I'm just going to try and fill this in and see if it works. 1 and 1 and 2, 3 and 1 and 1 and... Nope, doesn't work. Okay, great. Pew pew. Is this different enough that this works? It's increased by 2. I still think that's technically 1 short, isn't it? Not gonna stop me. No. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Space. Oh no, that's exactly enough, right? Neat. Okay. And then this should also work by nature of the fact that it's the same total number from the groups distributed differently. Space. 1, 2, 3. Does anyone want to talk about something that's less upsetting? Because I'll keep talking about upsetting stuff because I'm just upset, but, like, If you want to talk about something that's like cool, that's also fun. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is it the same in the other direction? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's not quite. You know, this might not actually be as hard as the last one. Oh, snap. This is the same. Oh, wow. Several of these are the same. Okay, yeah. No, this looks like actually considerably easier than the ones we've been doing. Because these are... It's all the same distribution. It's turtles all the way down, friends. So that's cool. Does that change anything? Actually, it does, right? It can still count all the way down to there, but it can only go 2, 3. Middle group for this column is 4. Oh, this left one should have the same parameters. Yeah, that looks right. I don't actually have anything in this... Whoa, what? This... Okay, this looks troubling. Let me... Hang on, give me this. 1, 2, space 1, space 1? So that's 2 ones. I would still need to... No, I guess I could still do that. I look like that might not be possible. It's just, it will look weird, probably. There's a lot of mirroring going on in this one. That's not terribly uncommon, but it's a little noteworthy. Yeah, actually, a lot of mirroring, huh? This one's going to be a little different. So obviously this group of 4 is part of the group of 5. So at the very least, this space has to be accounted for. So it could be like 1, 2, 3, space 1. Or it could be like... Or it could be 1, space 1, 2, 3. So that overlap should be applicable. Which should mean that this is part of the group of 2 for each of the respective rows. Yes, that should apply even though I don't have an X here. Could be correct. Because if I tried to add spaces to reach this and make it one group, it would be too big to be 4. So these should be part of the left group, which is 4 and 5 respectively, and these should be part of the right group, which is 2 in both cases. And that being the case, none of those can be filled in. And this... 3, 4, 5. It has to be exactly like that because of things. And then... it could be 1, 2, 3, 4. Or it could be 2, and then 1. I think this has to be filled in too. It can only count 4 over, and it can only start here. Yeah, that should be right. That should be right. Do I have more overlap on this top bit now that I've X'd out a couple of things? It's 3 out of... no, it's 9 out of 13, which is all but 4. Yeah, so we get a little bit extra there, which is a finished group here. That's right. Yeah, that's right. And then that's a finished group of 4. Miss something? Chat's doing stuff. No, we're good. I didn't realize you got your bachelor's degree in poli-sci demolition. That tracks. That does track. Almost got philosophy too, but got a bad biology shot instead. Man, college degrees, huh? That's its own whole thing. Woof. Let's see. So, I mean, looking at this column, I got a group of 4 up here. I got a space with a definite endpoint. Pretty sure this should be filled in and that make a group of 2. No, that just has to be true. And then actually, I only have 4 spaces left and I need 1, 2 space. God blast it. Oh, that should, I believe that's correct. 4 and then 5, right, okay. Oh, snap, Anime also graduated from college on the Saturday before you left for vacation. Way to bury the lead. You got some exciting times ahead. That's great. That's maybe the best thing I've heard today. Which maybe tells you a little about my day, but I am genuinely excited about that. Oh man, I'm really close to being able to put at least some overlap in this row for the 2 groups of 3. 7, huh? I don't think I can do anything with that yet. Oh, this top thing should be 2, right? Like now I have a group up here, and the top group has to be 2. So that means that this is filled in, which means that neither of these should be filled in. So now I got 7, 8, 9. Yeah, that looks correct. And filling that in means that I get to mark that as a group of 3. Can't technically do it. Feels like it probably reaches to here. Probably. Oh, and that makes that the group of 4. Can't sort that yet. Oh, that would also make this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's helpful, maybe? That's maybe helpful? Maybe? I mean, I'm never gonna finish this game. I'm gonna play this until I die. I'm gonna die playing this game. Isn't that wild? So that then makes this filled in, which makes this not filled in. Because I already have like 2 things filled in, and the last part of the group of 3 that has to be top of the row can't go here. Okay, I'm pretty stuck now, huh? The things I'm missing are just like little groups of 1 now that sort of tilt the balance in a certain... Ow, I did something weird by sitting on my foot weird. Let's see something. Now that I've put in a bunch of X's, can I... 1, 2... Okay, it should be necessary, given this configuration, that I need to have 2 groups of 1 above the 4 X's I've put in place, and 2 below it. And while I don't know exactly where the 2 below go, because there's some variation left with what's there, I should be able to determine that those spaces are filled in, which is equally true on the mirrored side. Now... let's count from the second. Space, 1, 2, 3. Space. Nah, there's still like a little bit too much wiggle room here. Which says, I had a philosophy of religion class in undergrad. The class gave me a headache, literally. I had to think so much. At the time, I felt philosophers couldn't make it out of academia, because, wow. I mean, there's some arguments to be made there. I mean, like, there's definitely some value to philosophy, despite people liking to joke that it's just, like, nothing. But, like, it's like, almost, like, dangerously insular. Like, it's... I don't know exactly how to put it. Like, it doesn't translate to a lot of other skills directly. And so, like, it seems like it is easy to get trapped in academia that way. Like, I think there's kind of something to that. Yeah, exactly. Like, your teacher was an academic who probably couldn't do anything outside of that. And it's not to say that, like, there's anything wrong with trying to understand philosophy or anything. It's just that, like, it really is a specialized skill, but, like, it translates so indirectly to other things. Sure, I'm never finishing this puzzle or game, huh? 3, 7, 1... 1 and 2. Rude. Why even bother? 1, 3, and 1. So, like... feels like this is filled in. Feels like this is filled in, and this... oh wait, hang on. This is like an actual thing. I already have the start of this group here. And so, since it has an endpoint, that should count down 3 to there, which then should count 3, 4, 5 to there, and make that that. It should make that. And because I've done this, I mean, this has to be the middle group, so these are the ones, which is where I suspected they would be. And we can simplify this a bit, because now that we've confirmed generally where the groups lie... no, not that one. Like, the 2 goes somewhere around here and somewhere around here, but, like... what to do about this? That's a future problem. Okay, but we've crossed out some more X's, which means... 4, and it needs to be 7? 9? Yeah. Yeah. That should be right. Should make that. Both of those are their own group. I mean, like, these kind of... so... I think these have to be part of the group of 5, right? Like, how else would I fit 3... oh, no, that just fills the whole row. So, like, yeah, that has to be part of the group of 5. That's fine and good. So that's where one of the filled-in ones is for 2 infinitum. And then, frankly, probably the bottom one. 2, 7, 3, 1... oh, hang on, are these up to 5 now? 3, 4, 5. Oh, neat. So that's like a whole group then, isn't it? Yeah. 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So 3, one of these is filled in, and then one of these is filled in. I think that's right. Do anything with this yet? Space 1. Yeah, wait. Yeah. Should be close, right? Like, this definitely has to be the group of 3 now that we have enough X's in place. And then I need 3 ones after the group of 3 and 2 before it. Like, this is probably filled in. This probably isn't. And then the inverse is true. And then 7. And this is up to 5, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it's up to 6. This one. This should be 1 and 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which makes that the group of 3. This is the overlap of what's possible for that group of 2. Likewise here, and then this has to be filled in because it's the only viable place for that group of 1 I need. And then it's just 7 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And then, yeah, that bottom one is filled in, which means that's not, and neither are these. And this has to be 2 because bottom group is 2. And then, as a result of that, there's only groups of 3 in this row. So, like, that has to be filled in, and that can't be used, which means this is also filled in, which means that's not used. Right? Group of 3 can't go here. So 1 and 5 and 4, sure. Okay, now I'm missing a group of 2 on either side of this row, so those are filled in. This can't be anything. Which makes that the 1 I'm missing over there, and same here. Which confirms my suspicion, right? Because I still need a 3rd one here and a 2nd one here, so that row's done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is no longer applicable. Makes that where that group of 3 goes, and I at least know this is filled in. Done with this yet? 1, 1, 1, 1. 4 1s and a 2. Oh, it is. Yeah, it's like that. Okay, great. Suspected that for a long time and could have filled that in a minute ago. That's fair. This is filled in. Oh wait, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So this is not filled in. So I think this is filled in. Oh no, wait. 3, and then I need 1 before the 5 and the 1. So that's filled in. Same thing true here? I don't have this X'd out. Go with this then. So, this being the case, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that shouldn't be filled in, which means these both are filled in. Which means these aren't and these are. I think all of that is correct. Means this is the only viable thing to be filled in. And then this is filled in. I think that's all still correct. Then 1. Oh yeah, only a group of 1 missing here, which means that this is filled in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which means that's not filled in, and so that has to be, and that finishes the row, which means that this isn't, and this is. This is like a potion bottle, or like maybe some type of fancy alcohol or something. Alright, will it give us the solution when we fill this in? Or will we have to put some weird X's, or remove some weird X's more accurately? Bibbidi bodily. Hey, you know what? I've been doing really bad, but I haven't had to reset a puzzle once. Is that worth something? Does that mean anything to you? Cologne. How long did that take me? Like a half hour? I'm debating one more. There are reasons I probably shouldn't. Is the next one hard? This one wasn't as bad as some, but, like, they're hypothetically getting more difficult. I mean, if we were jumping up to S, I'd say definitely no. How bad does it look, Demolition? You say you've loaded it up? What percentage of groups are one? I'll give it a try. It's not even 9. My immediate response is it could look worse, but it doesn't look great. Alright, all but 7. So I get 1 point here. And, like, I immediately have to go into hypothetical mode. 9, I should be able to get something from. 5, 7, 8, 9. Space, etc. Or 1, 2, space, 1, space. 1, yeah. Could be like that. 7s I can't do anything with, even though I have several of them. The 7 and 3, I get something out of. 1, 2, 3, space, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I get a little bit. 3 I'm not going to get much help from. Each of these rows has only groups of 3. And I can't make it further right than this. So both of those should be finished groups of 3, so that's cool. Also, there's no way physically possible for these to be part of separate groups when the rightmost group has to be 4. But I could go all the way to the edge, so I can't exit out or anything, but, like, those should be connected there at least. 7, I can't do anything. 8. It's 5, 6, 7, 8, space, 1, etc. 1, 2, 3, 3, space, 1, space, 1, 2, etc. Okay. Should be like that. And that tells me something. This group has to be continuous, and there's only 1 here, so it should be... Should either have to count 7 down from there or up to the top, in which case these 5 are filled regardless. And then the rest of that's like that. Means these big group 1s are cut off in this fashion. Also, these have to be connected. So that's 1, 2, 3, 5. So it can go to that edge, or it can go to there. The leftmost groups are too small to fit here, so I'm going to cancel all that out. Same here in both directions. Anything with that immediately. The bottommost group has to be 3, so I get some overlap there. That's not especially helpful. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Oh no, wait, that's, yeah, so that's overload overlap. So, like, these need to be filled in, but then it can count 1, 2, 3, like that. That seems correct, I believe. Yeah, that's fine for the moment. So, if we take a look at this column here, the bottom group has to be 6. There's no way to fit 6 under this, which means this has to be the bottommost group, which means that this has to be part of the 6, which in turn means can't reach all the way down here because there's not enough spaces in that group. Which should also mean that these spaces are blank because I can't fit a group of 4 for the bottom row there. Okay. 6 big enough? No, 6. I think these groups are big enough to do anything with. Try. And they're both 8. This one is slightly more. Let's just see real quick for this row. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Or it could be 1, 2, space. 1, 2, 3, space. 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think I get exactly those spaces, which is actually more than I expected to get there. So hypothetically, I should be able to get 1 if I do the same thing up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, etc. Or 1 space, 1, 2 space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, really? That seems off somehow. I don't know why that seems wrong, but it does. 1 space, 1, 2 space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, that's totally right. Weird. So if the top one is filled in, then that means that we get to do the full group from the top. Both of those instances, which something. I guess that tells us for this row at least, this should be a group of 4. Because it has to be like the second group for the row, and that's just like what fits there. And that leaves us with exactly enough space that we get a free point of overlap, trying to fit 3 and 5 spaces. Does it do anything for me? Space. Oh. I think I can technically deduce something about the group of 6 using this point, but it's something that's pretty high concept. I'm not gonna get there today, I don't think. 4. So I need basically 7 spaces out of 9? I should be able to get something from this, right? 1, 2, space, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, space, etc. Yeah, that should count. This should be part of the group of 3 for this row. Doesn't do like a whole lot for me. Actually, you know what? It does do a little something. Yeah, I feel confident in that assertion. So that being the case, like, I'm leaving space where 2 can go in either direction, but there's a limit to where 3 can go. So, like, this information might be useful for something in a column, I don't know. Like, for example, I'm only looking for one more group of 3 here, so it's, like, obviously not going to fit here. It's also obviously not going to fit here, which in turn means that these can't be used for the group of 4 in the bottom row. Which means we're starting to get some sweet overlap. That makes a finished group of 3 in the fashion of a boss. Sure. Okay, this is interesting. Because I've done all this, oh no, I'm looking at the wrong groups. They're like the leftmost groups. I guess, no, I'm not willing to make that assertion. Huh. So, these 3 have to be part of the group of 5 for various reasons. Which means that this space is blank. So, again, like, this can't be part of the group of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I guess we just get 1 point there, but at least that makes this group of 2. Which is something. Is this? No. That's as much deduction as I have there. 4, 3 and 3, 3 and 3. Oh, wait. This is our group of 3. That can't be used. Great, so clever. 5, 4, 3, yeah, okay. Well, missing something now, because it's not enough to work with. Five out of 9? Can I get something from this missing group of 4 here, maybe? 1 space 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I got 1. I got 1 point. That, like, definitely has to be filled in. Can't really do anything with that right away, though. This has to not be filled in. I can only fit a group of 3 somewhere, and it can't be in that 1 space. Yeah, here's where this gets tough. Everything I've done so far should be right, but ourselves in a situation where, like, I need information in here, and it's all pretty fluid. Is this necessarily part of the 4? 2 space. Yeah, that, like, definitely has to be part of the 4. Which means... Wait, I'm so close to figuring something out that might be useful for the future. So if this is true... This has to be filled in, right? 2, 3, 4, space. Space 1, 2. No, I guess it doesn't? No, it doesn't. That's nothing. I didn't learn anything at all. Can't make me learn. 1, 3... This is definitely part of the 3. Is that useful information? No. Hmm. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, space. 1, 2, 3. 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Something in that math seems wrong if that's true. No, it's fine. That's fine. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, space, 1, 2, 3. Okay. None of that applies either. Oh, here's something. Neither of these can be used because there's not enough space to put 3 over them. Which means I should get extra overlap going this way. Probably by itself isn't enough to do anything. Man, close to a couple revelations. Here's something I don't know if this is useful. So these are obviously part of our top group of 3. So that can reach to the top or it can reach here, but it can't fit here and this can't be part of a new group. So that's something. 2 and 1, 3, 4. At a certain point, you just start muttering numbers to yourself if you're like me, and I don't. I see earlier point regarding do therapy. Ooh, we're making banana bread, Neko? That's exciting. Right? I need just like a bit more information and like 2 or 3 more spots, and then the rest of this probably gets solved eventually. Narrow that down. I tried narrowing that down and it didn't do anything. Not enough there. 3, no. Because I mean, space, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I can still fit a 3 in between them, so I can't treat that as a 3. 2, 3. Yeah, I just don't know where that goes yet. Okay. Can I conclude 1, 2, 3, 4, space 1? Dang, no, I can't narrow that down any. Yeah, I'm missing like one little thing. Not seeing it present. 2. No, check that. 3 and 1, 3. I mean, that could be anywhere. 3, 7, 2, 1. Huh. You're gonna try and make banana bread tomorrow, Demolition? Does that just happen to be a coincidence, or have you been inspired? Also, thank you for the kind words, chat, for me just muttering numbers and crossing my eyes, trying to figure out what small piece of information I need. It's rough, man. It's been I'm having a hard time. I'm sorry to subjectively just being miserable, but I'm glad that that people are getting something out of it. Streams are like the only thing I've been looking forward to for the most part for a minute. I really didn't want to cancel today, even though I feel like just actual death. Man, what am I missing? Keep ultimately like looking at the same few things over and over and not learning anything. Here's something. So because I managed to rule this out, this should be part of the group of 6, which then lets me determine that this can't be filled in because the top group for this column is a 1, which then specifically fills in the exact location of this group of 5. Cancels this, although that's not extremely important. 2, 3. Can't do much with that, but it's something. Space 1, 2, space 1. Ah, okay, that really could be that far edge. Okay, 3. 2, 4. Oh wait, also that should be, now we have like an endpoint, so we know where the group of 3 goes. And that also tells us these spaces can't be in use because we have part of this group of 3, and it's the only thing left to establish in that column. Which doesn't actually help at all. These are the very small groups around here. 1. Mutter, mutter. Hum. Giving your sweet snake a bath. Do I want to know if the snakes all have distinct flavors? You just happen to specify sweet, and that could mean other things, but I like... Oh, hey, wait, check this out. This does tell me something. No, it doesn't at all. I lied to you. Because I'm missing a group of 3, but it could definitely still go here. If I could rule out any one of these spaces, I would at least know 2 of these are filled. Or if I ruled out one of these 2 spaces, I'd know all of those were filled. Currently, none of that is useful information. Ooh, oh, hold on. Check it out. So top group is 2. So this has to be its own top group because I can't put it above that. But that means this should be nothing, which makes this a group of 2, and this is also a group of 2 I just never filled in for reasons, don't worry about it. With all of those filled in, none of that can be used. So this can't be part of the group of 6 anymore, which means the 7 has to go down here, which makes this the group of 2. Which means that the group of 4 should be in here somewhere. I think I should be able to... 2 more points of overlap. This could still go here. I determined that that should be fine, so that should be fine. Well... Define made it through the stream, right? Because, like, I didn't want to cancel the stream and wasn't sure if I would make it through a stream. And we're now here at 9:17, which is frankly probably a mistaken judgment on my part. But also, here's a philosophical question. Is it a worthwhile stream if all I'm doing is complaining about politics and muttering numbers to myself? Is this content? That is the philosophical question. It does in fact look like all of that could work, huh? Oh, that's great. I'm glad to hear that, Neko, that the person you finished Big Snack Plushie for yesterday is excited about it. Oh, hey, wait. If this one's filled in, then we can say safely that none of that is filled in. That could be important, but probably isn't. This can't be part of the missing group of 3. These 2 are part of the missing group of 3. This can't be part of the missing group of 3. I can't make further determinations at this time. However, for this row, I can now safely say that none of these are filled in. And I don't know why I said that by raising the pitch of my voice. Another thing I know is that these should be filled in because I'm only missing a group of 3 and I now have a definite endpoint. So the rest of that row should be done, which also lets me determine that that's 2. That one's fine for now. This is nothing. It can't be part of that group of 3. This is a group of 4. That is what that is. This is... blank. So where are we at with this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that last one could be either of those. That still looks right. That still looks right. This isn't the direction I anticipated this going. So now we know the definite start point for the second group of 4, which should cut to there. The 1 could be anywhere beyond that, which is annoying. But we know that this is the group of 3 we've been looking for. Which means that we finished that column. Which is interesting because that specific piece being empty means that's exactly where the bottom group of 4 should go. Which means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, X. And some stuff. Okay, chat seems to believe this is content. That's reassuring, because if it wasn't, it would probably be sad instead of content. I guess those are the options. Sad or content. So we have the bottom group. We now know exactly where the group of 2 is, or the group of 4 is. We don't know where the group of 2 is. Oh, there's nothing bigger than a group of 2, so that's definitely our group of 2. And it narrows down where the last one goes, but it doesn't tell me exactly where it goes. These groups are annoying. That's all I have to say about that for now. This is a group of 3. This also is a group of 3. None of this is a group of 3. This is a group of 3. Phenomena. Oh, it's now a group of 3. How did I put in enough X's that I now know where that group of 3 is? That feels weird. And because I know that this has to be part of the bottom group of 7 here, and it can only reach 2 further down, this must also be filled, which then is the 1 for the last missing group there. This is also blank. Oh, is this also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? But that's nothing now. And then, do I know enough about the group of 3? Like 1 space, 2, 3, or 1 to be... 1, 2, 3. So this has to be part of the group of 3. Which means that this can't be anything, which is... That's fine, that tracks. 2, group of 1. Nah, everything's too small. Good night, anime. Congratulations again. Here, enjoy this. Also, enjoy this. I haven't used this button in a minute. Did it work? I got a 3. Enjoy your 3! Oh god. Why does the window do this? I should never click anything! Agony! It's fine, I fixed it. Hey! Once upon a time, I'm kind of stupid. Because I have 6 spaces left, I know exactly what goes in all of them. So this has to be filled in, and none of this is anything. And similarly... Can I make that determination? Yes, I can make that determination. Which then makes this a group of 3. This is the one I was looking for. So this should be the one I need in this row, which makes that finished group 2. This is 6. This is 8. That's the 4. This is 2. That's the 4. This is 3. This is 3. Wow, I could have done that earlier, huh? This is 3, and that makes 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is nothing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What? 6, 7? Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Yeah, that all tracks. This then has to be where that 3 goes. That's the missing 1. This is a missing 1. No, that's not 1. That's not 1 at all. It's 2. It's 2! Because then that's the first, and one of these is filled in. And now I'm just, like, not even saying anything useful because I'm, like, trying to finish the puzzle. That column's done, that's fine. This is 3, this is also 3. Just this? 1, 3, this. It looks like this. It's a bell or, like, a broom. It's something that tapers. I missed some stuff. Echo says, I don't have much family. The RC group is my internet family, so your streams always mean a lot to me. I try watching other streamers sometimes, but you're the kindest and most considerate with good humor. Wow. That's an extremely nice thing to say, Neko. Thank you for that. Thank you. Hard to type as Rasputin is weaving in and out of my arms. That, I mean, you know, good snack problems to have. Ring, purse, tiara? It could be all sorts of things. It could even be a boat. Let's fill it in and find out so I can end the stream. And then be left alone to my thoughts again. Sometimes I wonder if I make good decisions. And by that, I mean frequently. You know, I had these travel plans that were scheduled for next week that fell through. And I've had a number of people ask me if I still have that time off, which really is probably a reasonable question. But it's interesting to me because, like, the second the plans fell through, I, like, immediately canceled the days off. Because, like, what am I gonna do? Like, sit at home and think about what didn't happen? And I guess I think of that because lately I'm thinking about the things that aren't happening or whatever, and that doesn't seem great. Do you think it'll give me credit for this one or give me a hard time? Oh, I see it giving me a hard time. It's... Hang on. This one. I've even figured out how to... Wait, what? I really wasn't expecting it to be red. Plunger is plausible, but somehow that wasn't on my list. This was fun. I didn't make good progress, but this was fun. Let me just real quick... Exit. Hello, it's me! Yeah, Plunger, right? There, it's Plunger. Why not? Maybe I can make new things happen. I don't know, man. It's tough. Like, I know that this is definitely, like, a personal thing, but, like, and when I start to express this thought, it's going to sound very dumb, so bear with me. I'm really not interested in contracting COVID-19. Now, obviously, that's probably true for most people. But, like, I place a pretty high priority on that interest of mine, which not everyone does. Now, this means that I've been conducting my life in a certain way where things, like, don't happen. And so, I mean, stuff like seeing tech earlier this week is, like, a very rare exception. Like, I really don't... I mean, I think I alluded to earlier, vaguely, the fact that, like, I went to the grocery store, which is, like, the one time I traditionally leave my house in the week since I'm able to work from home, which I am grateful for. But, like, I need food to eat, so I go to the grocery store, and something just so, like, tilting happened at the grocery store today that I've clearly lost my dang mind. But, like, that's my activity for the week, is I go out and someone made me, like, furious to be alive, and then I just go home and I sit here and I deal with my emotions. Like, what else am I gonna do? Yeah, let's not go down that rabbit hole too far, because A, I think I've probably mentioned to some extent my feelings about these things in the past, because I do feel those strongly. And B, I mean, we've been in it for, like, years now. I feel like we know what's up, and people have just set their own comfort level. And that's fine. It's fine if your priority is different from mine. It's just that mine is a certain thing, and it has made my life challenging. That's mostly the point. I could do things differently, but, like, ah, man, I can't imagine how... I honestly am not sure at this point if I am able to cope with the tidal wave of emotions that would come from me contracting COVID. Like, it just feels like that might actually be the thing that breaks me as a person. So that's, like, kind of a legitimate concern I have right now. But before I start another of these long and unhelpful tirades, thank you for watching and for hanging out. I really appreciate it. And thank you, if you're still here, Mr. Generic Name, thank you for the bits. I really appreciate that. I don't know if I told this story on stream before. There was at least no, I actually know the exact, it's like late April. I have it in my phone. There was some date late in April a year ago when we had like a Zoom meeting at work, because we've been fully remote for a while now. And like leading up to that, like my boss's boss, I think, sent out this email that was sort of like, hey, so like we're all kind of sick of being in like pandemic circumstances, and it's kind of difficult to navigate parts of that socially, because it's natural to be like, hello, how are you doing? And nobody is good. But how do you reconcile that? And basically it was this like piece that sort of offered a solution, which was to say that like if someone asks you that, you say, I am languishing, which is... I don't off the top of my head know the precise definition of languishing, and I think it might have taken some liberties with it. But I think that, like, more or less the notion is of languishing is that, like, I am slowly withering and not doing great. And, you know, like, that's all fine and good. Like, maybe that works for you. Maybe just that knowledge is helpful to you. But the purpose of telling the story is because we had a Zoom meeting shortly after that email, or around that time. And, like, one of my bosses spoke to one of my coworkers, and was like, "Hey, like, how are you doing?" And she responded, "I am languishing." And his response to that was, "Very cool." Which, I mean, I'll admit that the piece that was sent out did not say how you're meant to respond to the response that you are languishing. But I don't think that very cool is the correct response to, like, I'm essentially like, I am holding together and not doing great. I don't think very cool is the correct response to that. So that was fun. And this comes to mind because after all of this mildly depressing talk, I am languishing. I hope you are doing better, and at the very least, I hope that you have found some entertainment in whatever this stream has been. But let's take a moment and consider a simpler thing. Where is Secret Squirtle? Somewhere behind me, I've hidden a Squirtle. If you could see a Squirtle like this chap here, that's not a secret. But beyond that, he could be hiding with any one of our lovely background friends. Why don't you take a moment and see if you can guess where it is? Because some good news for you is that if you can find the Secret Squirtle, it guarantees you good luck in the week to come. So I'm going to drink the surprisingly little amount of juice apple that I have left. Normally I end up with like half a glass, and I don't know why I keep pouring them so tall. But today and yesterday I went through most of them. I appreciate that, Crew Twitch, and hopefully you all know that, like, I'm here for you too. Like, I'm happy to talk about stuff in chat within reason, and we got the Discord, stuff like that. Like also says, Kohei is suffering with long COVID at the moment. It's been miserable. Works in a restaurant now, so he's around people constantly. Man, just being in a restaurant sounds pretty thankless and miserable in its own right, honestly. But like, just any account I've heard of long COVID just sounds miserable. I know a lot of the ones that get like publicized are like worst case scenario, but like, man, it is so hard for me to get through a day as like a normal person. Like, I just really don't want that. I just really don't. I really just don't want that. Oh, Critwitch, I could tell you so many stories about the management at my company, which, to use a coin termed by my company, is very cool. Alright, let's see if we can go ahead and find that Squirtle home. Well, literally every guest that I see in chat is behind Naomi, who's our very big narwhal queen. I will reveal that hiding back there is this guy. He's a little bunny. My mom got me this for my birthday. His name is Robin, spelled in a very interesting way. He's very little. That's fun. But not far off, hiding behind our brand new Winnie the Pooh. That's where I put the Secret Squirtle. Secret Squirtle. Here's Naomi. She's very big. They should make a bigger one. It wouldn't be responsible of me to own it, but it would be good if there was a just as big as me. Just a narwhal that's Vasco size, please. I don't know where I'd put it, but why not? Why not? We've already gone this far. We made the dinosaurs. Why not make Indominus Rex, you know? You know what I'm saying? I don't know what I'm saying. It's not that late, but it's late enough, and these challenges are very difficult to complete. That, like, I am just completely fried. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being you, and I hope to see you again soon. I'm very excited. We'll be back next Friday with more AI Nirvana initiative. And man, that cliffhanger from last night was bananas. I know we talked a decent amount about AI at the start of the stream, but like, one thing I would like to mention, which I hopefully will remember to say again next week, is that, like, I think that individual moment was more exciting than any revelation in the first game. and we were like 7 hours into the game. Like I'm pretty excited about this game, despite myself and all of my better judgment. It's been a lot of fun, and it's very promising, even though, it's a sequel to Somnium Files. But yeah, I'm excited for that. And I mean, hopefully we finally start case 3 next week. We still have a few optional puzzles left. We still might not do it next week, but we will try. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay safe and take care of yourselves, because you are important to me. You are very cool and important. Good night, everybody. She's waving too. It's harder.